Hello, people. Jay's actually already on stage with me, as I call it here on StreamYards. But he's got to go and get something. But I'm here, and we're on time.
Hello.
I can hear him shuffling back. Hello, Pastor Jay.
How are you? What's your title? Are you not going to be Pastoress or Lordess Claire today?
Oh no! I never take on silly titles, do I?
Are you saying
do you remember me doing this sort of thing?
Yeah, I do actually.
To be
I do.
Pope or whatever, Bishop.
No, whatever you could. Whatever. Oh. Well, yeah, you once said that you were not the savior. You give yourself a title. God, I can't remember what it was. It was about a good year ago, maybe more. You claimed to be the Messiah. That was it.
Well, I was just inviting people to consider the possibility that I might be the Messiah.
No, you were telling them that you were.
No. I thought it was quite interesting because the Jews believe that the Messiah has to be directly descended from King David, and we know that his son was Solomon, who had 300 wives and 700 concubines. So, in theory, I can't, just because of my race, be dismissed, except that they say, oh, but he must be male. And I thought, well, I could squeeze in at a pinch simply because I do describe myself as the mind of a man happily inhabiting the body of a woman.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, I think, it's with me, it's an obvious act or LARP. I'm not really a pastor. I don't expect anybody in their right minds would assume I am, as in the same category of you being the Messiah. However, I do notice that you're not fulfilling Ramadan according to the rules.
But I don't have to because it's optional. I'm not Muslim, so I don't have to fast. But I thought I'd just see if I can do it for 30 days.
I wish you well as a friend. I wish you well with your intermittent fasting.
I'm quite happy to tell you that I've had tea.
Have you had any food, even a biscuit or a cake?
No, I haven't.
Well, I mean, you were never needing to lose weight anyway, but I would assume that the weight is coming off a lot.
Yeah, and it feels good.
Good. Well, I've done intermittent fasting. It's not good if you're doing lots of exercise and cold water swimming. It's kind of dangerous. But when I have tried it, the results were incredible for twofold. One, the weight loss, and it doesn't matter if, say, for example, you're going to eat 3 meals in a day, or just say 3,000 calories. It doesn't matter if you eat them in your 8-hour window, as long as you have 16 hours of no food, and you then eat off all of that food, and you eat off your body fat as well. So it definitely works. So on a daily basis, you don't have to restrict calories, but you just do not eat at certain times. It's not recommended for cyclists or swimmers or people driving, because you do get pretty weak at times and irate, and your body's eating itself. It's the first stage of body eating. Yeah, where your body eats the fat, and once you get used to it, then you start to get into it. And then I think the most I did was 22 hours, and you start getting so much clarity, energy, and like you feel about 10 years younger at about 5 stone lighter, which is not a bad thing. But life takes its corners, and it's not right for me to do it at the moment. But I do salute you with it. So
Thank you.
yeah, just I think John Vance might be starting it soon as well. Probably if you get any attention,
he should already have started on the 24th.
Well, it depends if he's if it's worth publicising. He probably will have, but I don't know about drinking lager in Ramadan. Is that allowed?
Sorry, what?
Drinking lager, alcohol, is that allowed in Ramadan?
Well, not at all. It's not allowed even outside Ramadan. Well, it depends on which kind of Muslim you are, because the verses in the Quran are in conflict.
Okay. Anyway, quite an interesting day yesterday, I thought. I had some quite interesting conversations, and I was fascinated by your excellent piece on your blog about millennial woes and hoo-ha with Mark Collett. I wasn't too mesmerized by millennial woes, but it's more so liberal Mark Collett, who has now decided to champion almost women's rights. Or it's like, you know, who was the name of the judge that got done in America, but they couldn't convict him?
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh. When the Democrats were screaming, he's this, he's guilty, he's, you know, the Clinton-esque type people. Well, that's what Mark Collett's turned into. I find it really, really, they must know something, or they want rid of him, or they know that he's a liability. Because
we've got a further message now. I don't know if you want. So this was, it says 13 hours ago, but I'm not exactly sure. Maybe, okay, was it 9:51 this morning? Maybe. Mm-hmm. If this message. So it basically says, statement from Woes. It is very frustrating, but I can't defend myself without making things more complicated. I did make stupid decisions with a woman, which led to her getting emotionally hurt. I should have foreseen that, but I didn't, and I behaved irresponsibly. However, I'm not an abuser, a rapist, or anything like that. That patriotic alternative had to take the allegations seriously, because to not do so would be irresponsible of them. That's why I've been banned. That's what he said.
God, it's horrendous, isn't it? It's really abysmal. That, I mean, there's so much in this story, Claire. I don't know if you understand.
It could run and run.
No, it's running around the world. I mean, a woman. Clearly, something's gone on. I think that's not in dispute. But a woman got emotionally hurt.
Well, yeah, if you don't become a boyfriend, or you become a boyfriend and then you dump her.
Yeah,
she dumps you. I know women who've broken up with their boyfriends, and they say, "Oh, I spent the weekend crying about it." And I thought, but you broke up with him. But they get just as upset, because it's like, all the wasted time when I put up with this crap, and then I couldn't do it, and I wasted all my time, my youth, my whatever.
But these type of people talk about patriarchy, and they talk about what women should be and what men should be, and the whole thing. So I
think men are the best people to know what a woman should be, because they know what they like, and women should be the best people to say what men should be, if they can ever make up their minds.
I don't agree with that. Some people maybe, or if a man gets to know the woman really well as a person, then yeah, I get a sense with all my friends, like you included, where your mood or where you're going with stuff, and but bloody hell, I mean, this stuff with woes, it's incredible. Do you know something? If they read this story a year ago, they would be laughing at it, and laughing at like this letter of apology, and I'm not a rapist, I'm not a molester, I'm not an abuser. I'm sorry
I just hurt a woman's feelings by not the gentleman I ought to have been. Maybe I sent. Well, we don't know. We don't know what happened.
Well, this is it. That's the other thing as well. But like what Mark Collett said in his statement, and we are standing by her. We have been with her all the time, and he's surrounded by them women who dress up in Victorian-looking clothes, you know, to look like non-sexual. It's fucking pathetic, you know.
It's virtue signaling. I mean, it actually
Yeah.
sort of reminds me of you know, the whole thing about ego dick and con ops. You know, it's like virtue signaling men. You deserve what's
No. I mean, yeah, con ops. Yeah, you said con ops was virtue signaling by saying that he didn't approve of rape, and you said that you're just doing that so you can get women. And
well,
that has to.
you're saying no, but we have to first understand that ego dick was saying, if you men keep behaving like that, you deserve to have your women raped. And
yeah, but Claire, what you did, and I saw it straight away, was you tried to rewrite what Ego Dick had said, and because he's so stupid, you did a stream with him and your other idiot Vance, and you were saying, I think what you were trying to say is, and you reread the script, and they were nodding their heads, going, yeah, that's what it was, and that's the narrative that you used to argue with was a false narrative because it wasn't what had come out their mouths.
And well, I'm sure in a court of law they will say that was exactly what they meant.
No, that's what they meant exactly. So
yeah, because it didn't actually make sense from the sort of crazy words were being used.
But oddly enough,
and out of that you extracted a sentiment. It's like because of you.
But oddly enough, the narrative that you prescribed for them was a narrative that was that protected them from what they'd said. So I saw what was going on with that, and you know, well, if you want, you can pretend that they were saying something else. But if I say,
I'm sure in a court of law, they will confirm the narrative.
It's not a court of law. We're dealing with facts, Claire. We're dealing with
the facts are dealt with in a court of law under more stringent conditions than you and me talking about stuff. There will be, you know, examination and cross-examination and decision and whatever.
Yeah, but there'll also be lunch breaks and tea and coffee. But what we're talking about is the evidence and the facts.
The evidence is that when
what they said,
what they said, and the words can be interpreted in more than one way.
Yeah.
You're going to say that a crime was being incited.
Imagine this: two people say these things, and it's down as evidence, right? And as a defense witness, you're called, and you say, "Ignore what they said. This is what they were really saying." People would laugh, Claire. You'd be laughed out of court.
Yeah, because I've got their words, and it's actually the words of one man, and basically they were saying, you know, if a foreign army invades, your women are going to get raped, and I will be laughing, or words to that effect.
Well,
because your behaviour incites, attracts even more invaders. And your weakness will just.
I understood the sentiment.
Deal with a problem.
I know what they
deserve. What's coming.
I know what they said, and I know, but I find it interesting that your version of what they were saying actually supported. It benefited you.
Of course. Why would I say things that didn't
exactly
benefit me?
So that's the morality of it. So you're telling people what the truth is, which oddly enough benefits you. How what a good soldier you are.
I don't think I lie to people. In fact, that's my problem is that I tell them the truth too straight, and they get upset with me.
Well, that can be an asset as well. But I mean, do you still think it was a wise move to support them?
Well, I'm in the business of supporting free speech, and this includes the unpopular opinions, but which could be, intellectually defensible. So basically, somebody saying, if we behave like that, we'll get more invaders, more of our women will be raped. What's the point? Why are we behaving in this effeminate way? just because we think in the short term and think, well, if you sort of virtue signal in the way that Mark Collett did, like, oh, any woman who comes to our conferences will be protected. They will, any allegation against any, male will be taken most. It's like, do you even need them there? If all they're going to do is get raped or whatever, do you even need them there? Aren't they a terrible distraction?
Oh, I mean, there's so much in it. There's so much.
Well, I think that this is the whole problem. It's like, it's a crisis of masculinity. You probably didn't hear my previous stream, and I played these voices on the Today program on Radio 4, and one of them is the headmaster of Eton, and I listened to his voice and I couldn't believe it. It's like, how is he going to keep order with a voice like that? What's going on? You obviously didn't listen to it, but this is what is. These are the voices that are allowed to voice an opinion on national media. Only these men with these voices are allowed to say what they, are allowed to platform.
I saw Apple News app on my iPhone today, or whatever. It flashes up with news, and they were outwardly promoting and defending Meghan Markle. And this was not about news, as in like reporting the news. This was about getting behind a person and validating her, and it was pretty blunt and basic what they were doing. And,
I haven't heard of this one. What's this about?
I didn't finish it. I read the first paragraph. And the fact that, I mean, if you put BBC, I don't know, if any news station, and they were given their opinion and their supporting of something. I mean, I'll send you it when we come off, but it was like, let's not watch Apple News again. Or it completely, it was like watching Fox News or watching CNN, and But the way they did it was pretty like headlines. They made a point of like coming out and being behind her. So I found that quite interesting.
Sorry, which men are supporting Meghan Markle?
Apple News. Have you heard of Bill Gates, Claire?
Yeah, I didn't know he was. Yeah. I haven't really heard.
Yeah,
news.
Yeah. Apple have got their own. It's like part of the iPhone like app. So you've got Apple this, Apple Music, Apple iTunes, Apple, all kinds of stuff. And one of them is Apple News. And I clicked it for the first time in probably years, and it was their Meghan Markle crusade. As we are going crazy over the national health and supporting it, Apple are doing it for Meghan Markle over some issues that she's got with royalty or something, suing people and whatever. So I found that like beyond biasness.
Right. So Bill Gates is supporting Meghan Markle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying Apple News, like, it's
talking about Meghan Markle.
No, promoting and validating what's going on with her. And I found, that's it really. But just quickly getting back to that Mark Collett thing, where do you think it'll go? Reading between the lines.
Well, I just think it's tactically unsound. I mean, if I were Mark, I guess I would, if I wanted to kick somebody out, I'd have to give a reason, and I would give a reason, right? So I just can't imagine making such a confused message like he won't be welcome, he won't be invited, he won't be involved with us in any capacity. He did these things to women, and there's more than one of them, and that's it. And it's like, well, I guess if you were a bloke, you'd think, what did he do?
Yeah.
What did he do that was so terrible that you're going to so publicly dissociate yourself from him? Right? So if I were a bloke watching it, I think, so they're just going to believe any woman who accuses any man of whatever, and and I'm supposed to join that party and give it money and hope it's going to change my country.
I mean, yeah, I thought it was incredibly dishonest.
Women wouldn't join that kind of outfit anyway. This is, okay, they have a few women. I mean, there's the deputy leader is this called, I've forgotten her name. Oh, Lara Towler. But it's like she's there as a kind of token. It's like, oh, I'm this, fresh young Yorkshire lass, and that's it.
Apple pie.
I'm from Yorkshire. I'm a Yorkshire lass.
Yeah, I'm from Yorkshire. I drink tea on a Sunday. I make apple pie for my neighbour's children.
Mark Collett about which brand of tea to drink: Yorkshire tea or breakfast tea. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, he's from Yorkshire, actually, Leeds, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, that's probably the end of him. I would predict that from his. He's now
intellectual credibility. I kind of made myself listen to Mark's stream, and I know my IQ lowered after it. But anyway, I fell asleep. It's like I'm gonna wait for him to say something about millennials. I don't think he did. And then and somebody said, oh, did he mention blah blah? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I really fell asleep.
I was speaking with OV yesterday, and one or two others, and we had quite an interesting chat where OV obviously has a narrative, and so I played along with him, and it ended up OV asking me what I thought some of the world's problems were, and this is how the game goes. I would give a problem, OV would relate it back to the cause of the problem, obviously the narrative that he's got. So I was giving him like easy hits. I was saying to him pornography, liberalism, and giving it, and he was like, well, hey, and having real fun with Jay's answers that were obviously all Jew narrative sort of thing. And then, I was sort of playing with it anyway, but it got interesting when I asked him the question. I asked him, are there any countries in the world that haven't got any Jewish influence? And that prompted Conops to come back on. He was at his parents' house. Mm-hmm. And OV was struggling to think of one. I think he knew some, but he wasn't saying. I could be wrong. But Conops came on and said, Thailand. He said there's about 1,000 Jewish people live there. But let's look at all the degeneracy in Thailand. And that's probably the one place in the world that has got the most sexual degeneracy, as well as like crazy amounts of obviously drugs and the rest of it. And so OV then had to qualify a country that's hardly got any Jewish representation, that oddly enough has got an absolutely huge amount of degeneracy, which I found, I thought the dynamics of that was quite interesting.
Yeah, because, for OV, everything has to fit into the narrative of the Jews being responsible for,
Yeah, so if you have a country that, I don't know, I'm not Einstein on any of this, but if you've got a country that hasn't got hardly any influence, you would assume that it wouldn't have the stuff that OV accused them of promoting. So, but OV's, he had to qualify it, and he started like raising his mouth and talking fast, and I knew then that he was struggling. But he said, "Well, they're not white people."
and therefore the Jews aren't interested in subverting them.
I don't know.
Is that what he was saying?
No, it's like saying, yeah, my football team got beat because they scored more goals than us. That's the it's just stupid. It's not a reason. But then the other thing is, what sort of people go to Thailand?
Well,
I know. But it was fun. We actually had a good chats. I'll pop in and out once or twice, and
I
Conop's one.
completely missed that because every time I dropped in, there was this really boring guy talking.
Probably me. No,
I didn't even know you were on.
I was doing I was doing my time trials, so I was in and out. Conops was at his parents' house, which was really funny because he was having to be quiet. And OV took advantage of that and was raising his voice, knowing that Conops couldn't argue back. And OV was being quite funny with that. Was the European that came on? Was it not? Oh God, what's his Zero? He's Lithuanian, and then later on, I'll tell you who came on. Self-hating Jew.
Oh right.
Yeah, he was on for a few hours.
I missed a lot of things.
That's probably who you were listening to, who you thought was a dull European, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but yeah. So, did you have any streams yesterday apart from the Millennial Woes one?
I think that really. I mean, I did talk about other things as I streamed on it, but I actually can't remember what I said now. Isn't it terrible? But yeah, I mean, I know I did 2 streams, and basically I was.
Can I just read something about this stuff with Noah, and it might give you more insight into the Emmett Fox idea of scientific prayer, metaphysical religion, I guess. So turning the tide of trouble, and that is from Genesis 6.9, and Noah walked with God. And he writes, and stop me if we can go through this. You stop me anytime you want and discuss it. Because I read it this morning, and I thought it's interesting because it links a lot of religion, psychology, and all kinds of stuff. So, the story of Noah and the Ark is one of the most important stories in the whole Bible, and I suppose it is one of the best known. People who know very little about the Bible at least know the story of Noah and the flood. Why is the parable of Noah and the deluge so important? So what I did, I mean, I know it sounds childish, I looked up the word parable. And do you know the definition of a parable?
It's like a fable. It's a story to make a moral point. I mean, like the parable of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah, so a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson as told by Jesus in the Gospels. So I don't know if a person called Jesus ever existed on the earth. I don't really care. But what I do follow and understand is the message behind the stories or parables or fables or whatever they are. And that's basically where Emmett Fox is coming from as a scientific Christian, where he's basically saying that this stuff either works or it doesn't work, and there's no in between. So you're using the words as a way to communicate the message to people. And I think what you do is you take everything literally by saying, "Oh, there cannot have been," and I'll be honest, I do it with the flying horse because the argument works in my favour. With Muhammad, I'll say a winged horse. It's utter rubbish. However, I change my tune when it suits me. So yes, I'm guilty of that. So that's a good.
I think it's important for you to understand that I'm only interested in the rules. I don't care about the stories. This is what Quranism is. You know, I don't care if you believe in stories or not. I don't even use them. I say these are the rules, and I can explain to you why the rules, what the rules are there to do, and what evils are meant to prevent. And
this sums up. I mean, we can almost leave the book there because this sums up the difference between how a lot of people operate. You think, probably because that works for you, that the only thing we need are external rules.
Well, you need both. I mean, I'm
At last,
trying to explain to you that the religion fulfills a public and a private purpose, and you only concentrate on the private purpose, and then you don't give a damn about the public purpose, which is laws and rules, which you think is optional, and you want to remain optional because you know it would be unpopular to support me, so you don't. And you don't because you don't want to take any risks to support me because you're an atheist and a nihilist and you don't care what happens after you are dead.
Here we go.
You can't deny it.
Well, where did you learn the skill of working out what another person thinks?
You use you deduce from somebody's position why from what they're doing and what they're saying and why they would say this or do that. Okay, Mandy Rice Davis, she is the proponent of the deductive school of reading people's minds. So the story about her. She was a prostitute. She slept with Lord Profumo. No, sorry. Lord Astor, Clevedon, and he had orgies there, and she was there, and I think that was how she met John Profumo, who was the war minister of the time, and he got into a spot of bother over sleeping with a prostitute, who also slept with some Russian person. Russian man, and then they said, "Oh, he'll be selling state secrets."
Yeah,
and basically they wanted to kick him out, kick John Profumo out for having sex outside marriage because they were pretty puritanical. Anyway, Mandy Rice Davis was her kind of I don't know, friend or something. I forget the exact details. I actually saw a few movies about it. So anyway, in court, it was put to Mandy Rice Davis that she was lying when she said she had sex with Lord Astor in support of a friend, and then she said, "Well, he would say that, wouldn't he?" Of course he would deny that he had had sex with me because he's a lord and I'm a prostitute, and he wouldn't want to admit what he'd been up to with me, being a married man and a lord.
So are you saying that I would not be wanting to support you because I'm not much higher than you in so many levels, and I wouldn't want to be seen mixing with the rats?
Well, I think you try to be higher status than the people that we're associated with who bump along at the bottom, and that's why you say, "Oh, I'm not all right. I'm not racist," and all that kind of thing. And
no. If I can just qualify it, again, you're speaking utter lies and nonsense. What I've said about racism, I've said that I think everybody has racism in them. It's like jealousy. It's like narcissism. To what extreme people are or have, depends on them and their whatever background, circumstances, views. So I don't remember ever saying I'm not a racist. But I do wonder why you say things like that.
Well, because we are associated with people who have a problem with non-whites, Jews, and Muslims.
No, I think it's fair to say that most people on here are more extreme in terms of having racist views, but that doesn't mean to say that I'm better or worse or anything.
Well, I'm basically saying that sometimes we do discriminate on grounds of race, and sometimes it could even be justified, right? And I'm going to be neutral on that. I'm just saying, really, immigration is a problem, and obviously people say, well, and they're from another race, and they're from another country, and their culture doesn't agree with us, and they have the scary religion, and and anyway, we don't want them. So and of course the political establishment will say, oh, you're racist, that means you're evil, that means we can ignore you.
You know, if a person looks up to a certain race, say for example they like French people, I mean, and they say, oh, French people are so suave and intellectual and debonair, or all of this stuff, and artistic, and that is in the same category as saying I hate Italian people because they're emotional and the men cry and they, you know, blah blah. So is racism just when it's a negative? But surely,
exactly, because you make an excellent point, and I was just having this discussion on somebody's Facebook group, and it's like, well, you know, if you think, you know, this person is automatically horrible because of their race, but you think another race is automatically wonderful because of their race, are you also being racist when you think somebody's better than you because of their race?
Do you think part of racism is I'm the type of fellow who I guess enjoys being around people, which I think is a good thing. It's very, very rarely do I get someone who I don't like, but I can bond pretty quick. I can make friends easy, long term, short term. I've got lots of friends, but so I'm speaking. I'm using that as an experience for my point. But I think it's possible that a lot of people who don't have that will judge other people, and you know, maybe certain types of racism is magnified by people who cannot get on or bond with people. Possibly.
Yeah. It's sort of like me saying, you know, I've never liked the look of you, Jay, and you're fat, and you're smelly, and you're greedy, and you're stupid, and you're, you know, whatever it is that they have.
Hang on, whoa. Hang on.
I'm not saying that.
I think I think all of them, apart from smelly, I think.
I'm not saying that you are even.
No, I am. No, I am. I am greedy. I am greedy. No. I think I agree with most. I agree with most of them, but carry on anyway.
But I mean that's the thing. It's like there was already a reason why they disliked them. I mean, it could be, well, I just hate you, Jay, because you're so much better than me, and you have all the things that I want that I can't have, and you know, and you're so wonderful, and you're you know, in a place that I want to be and I can't, and that and therefore this reason I hate you.
So, do you think that? But would you not think that my friendship with you does that not show any inclination that I may not be racist to a large extreme? Because you know, I mean, all the people.
I don't think you are racist. I'm just saying that you know, if push came to shove, you know, we might say racist things, and it's like, it's really important that we define what racism is, because we all, you know, march around thinking we know what this word is, and we use it to attack other people, and we feel bad when it's used against us. But what does this even mean? It's like, well, it just means being a bit rude to somebody, or very rude to somebody of another race, right?
I've just nailed it. I've just absolutely nailed it. I will demonstrate my superior intelligence to the world now. Racism is when you judge another person by their race negatively. Hence, racism is not when you judge another race positively. It's only in a negative sense. So it doesn't add up.
But I mean, the logic of it implies that, you know, if there are people that you think are inferior because of their race, this logically means that there will be, that then you think, you know, there will be other groups who are superior because of their race, right?
Yeah, obviously. But then that gets the
But
question
nobody's
of,
going to object to you saying, "Oh, you're black, you're so wonderful," and blah blah blah. Usually people are just happy to accept the better treatment that you give to them because of their race. They're not saying, "No, no, no, we don't want you to be racist in this nice way to us." Thank you for treating us
okay,
extra well.
okay. Let's go back to the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not judge. Racism is judgment.
Well, the Ten Commandments does not forbid us from judging, does it?
I think so. Is there not something about judging in it? Maybe I've got it wrong.
I think you have. I can't even think of the verse that you might mean.
I'll find it as we're chatting. So basically, what we're saying is, you say to children in school, you are not allowed to have, opinions about a person's race unless it's positive.
Well, I suppose there would be no problem if every child was the same race. Then they'll find something else to bully each other about, like calling somebody fatty or smelly or whatever.
Oh, it's one of the Beatitudes in the sermon about judgment, Claire. Sorry, I've just remembered. Well, as a human, you're going to get things like jealousy and hunger and desires and all kinds of stuff, and feelings of race, feelings of positives or negatives on certain types of people. It could be Eastern Europeans, which isn't necessarily a colour thing. It could be Africans. It could be Americans.
You could.
Hang on. Yeah. But what they're saying is, you cannot show, and you shouldn't. You cannot show your true feelings towards, to what you have towards a certain people because it's a crime. But it's positive. So what they're asking to do is suppress your human instinct, and that is the cause of madness. If as a child, and as a parent, I guess as well, that if the thing I never ever said was anything like, "Don't say that," or like I always encourage and still do. Especially the last couple of weeks as well, with stuff that's going on, like, what do you think? And I give absolute license to, for offspring to communicate with where they're at with stuff, and if you could control a person's narrative to suit you, it's horrible. It's horrible. And I think that's what the liberalism of, racism is. That's why it's a fuck up. It's two things going on with it. It's one, you shouldn't be thinking that, but two, even worse, you're not allowed to say it. It's a crime to be honest. It's a crime to actually say what you think. I mean, that's wrong. It's wrong on so many accounts.
Yeah, but I suppose even in you may join your sort of special group or whatever, and then there will be certain opinions that you will be forbidden from expressing. So if you want to be a member of that group, say if you I'm just trying to think. Okay, I mean, like, say you joined the Nazi Party. I'm saying the Nazi Party because it's just easy, because it's so extreme. And that as a member of the Nazi Party, you're not allowed to say, well, maybe Jews are okay after all. Okay, you would instinctively know not to say that maybe the Jews are okay if you're in a Nazi Party, right? And if you're Jewish, you won't be saying, well, maybe the Nazis, did have a point, maybe. Because you know that by saying these things, the people in your group will just jump up and down and want to kick you out.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. When people say things like, you said 10 minutes ago about people assume that they are better because of their race. what's the criteria do you think people are using?
Well,
so, for example, as an English person, I think that culturally, like leap years, a million miles ahead of people like Canadians, for example, or not so much Australians. They've got something, but like there's certain areas that I will obviously judge Englishness against other nations. I mean, is it possible not to feel better than a certain nation who haven't yet got any roads, or they still live in mud huts or something? I mean, there's got to be some sort of criteria, hasn't there, within to think, well, we are a better race. I mean, look at them.
Yeah, and I think you should be allowed to say it, because I think sometimes we have to think, okay, forget nations, it's like, us as individuals, I might think in certain respects I am definitely better at you. And maybe I kind of rub it in, and you might say, think there are things that I can never do because of my sex or race or whatever. And you would want to say it if we were in an argument. But I suppose, it's how each party responds. So if I call the cops and say, oh, Jay's been racist, or you do whatever, that is beyond the debate that we're having, that would not be fair. I mean, if you called the cops on me or something, or whatever, or you imply that you would, but even sort of saying things like, well, if you don't like it, then why don't you go, whatever. Yeah. So okay, you say, well, I just said it, but it just means, well, you're going to be expelled if I had any control over things. So I guess implicit is well, really, it's okay. I just think we could tie ourselves in knots just trying to discuss this. But the point for the white man, as far as I can see, is that every other group can say whatever the hell they like about the white man, especially the white heterosexual man, and if he tries to respond, he'll be accused of being racist, sexist, blah 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 blah, and then naturally and logically he will think, well, my status has lowered, and I like it, and I
But isn't the argument, playing devil's advocate for that, isn't their argument that for thousands of years white man has been racist and misogynist and all the rest of it, and now we're putting a stop to that, so white man has to stop being them things like rule Britannia, we rule the world, and the Commonwealth and stuff, but we're allowed to do it, but you're not. I mean, that's what they say in it, but by their actions, isn't it?
Well, I think basically they're probably just sticking their
getting their own back.
They're getting their own back, and if you let them, then they will. It really is as simple as that. And I've compared this phenomenon with you arrive in somebody's live chat and everyone else has a wrench, but you don't. So you'll always be timed out or hidden or whatever, because the wrench, the blue wrench that some of us get on some streams, implies status. That's why people keep begging you for wrenches.
I've never understood the I've never understood the power. Well, two things: the power to persecute.
Status.
No. I mean, status. But how? God, I mean, I'll go on streams and I don't know if I've got. I don't know what the purpose of a wrench is. I don't know what you can do or not do. But also, the biggest ego feed I've saw was OV. I think OV came on my stream once, and he started cutting people off and letting people on and all of this, and I was getting messages from people saying, get him off, stop him, and I spoke to him and I said no, he's fine, he's going to stop it, and sure enough he did with a quiet word. But like the power of giving out, it's like at school, if there's only I remember at school in assembly when the teachers got like different instruments, the triangle, the recorder, all these horrible, rotten instruments for children, and the drum was a snare drum, and everybody wanted the snare drum. And the person who got the snare drum was like given a wrench. The prestige. And do you remember when Brundlefly got a wrench off OV, and the wig the wig started crying?
And it's like, this is crazy, but in the end, you sort of think, it's like, if I'm your friend, then I deserve a wrench, and I'm not going to friend you anymore if you won't give me your wrench. Give me a wrench. And
have I got one with...
They're not wrench each other anymore on each other's channels, and that means they're not friends anymore.
Have I got a wrench? Have you given me a wrench?
I used to, and then I de-wrenched everyone, because the people who complain, like, I arrived at this person's channel, everyone has a wrench there, and I don't like that, and it means this person's, whatever, and of course, I think it was Luke who started this wrench giving thing.
Do you remember? It's really interesting. I mean, it's ego-based stuff, but do you remember that? You might not. There was somebody called Timothy Mallet.
No, I don't.
He was a children's TV entertainer. He was horrible. And years ago, 25 years ago, I was working at this club, like music stuff. I was stage manager. And we all used to muck in and be on the door, and like it was like only 5 or 6 of us running it, 5 bands a night. And I was on the door, and this person came with 2 or 3 people around him, and I had to charge them in. It was £3 or £2 of the ticket. That's how long ago it was. And he said to me, "Don't you know who I am?"
Yes. No.
And I said, I didn't recognize him because he's tiny. Like, he was tiny. And if you showed me the picture of him, he used to wear massive glasses, and he's a horrible, annoying little man. And I said, "No, but even if I did, it's £3 entry." And he turned around and walked out looking extremely irate. But if I'd said, like, it's a stupid question, because it's like, well, yes, I do know who you are, but it's like, what, don't you know who I am? He's implying that he's somebody else, like than who he is. He's a man there that's got to pay £3, whether you're like Donald Trump or whether you're like bloody OV or me or you. It doesn't matter.
What was this event again?
Oh, it was a pub. We used to put bands on every night, and it was like a really low key thing. I mean, you're talking like capacity of 50 people if you're lucky. Right. And in Camden, Kentish Town, really. And yeah. So he's saying
to me.
Pardon?
Who was his man who thought you should have given him free admission?
Timothy Mallet. You'll be able to put him up later. Timothy Mallet.
Right.
And he was a children's TV entertainer who used to wear like stupid clothes and massive glasses and stuff. But that was the first time, and I think somebody had said to me, "Don't you know who I am?"
Well, actually, I mean, I in my time, I've known sort of famous people, and it's sort of sometimes they get bad service, but the wiser of them know not to say, "Don't you know who I am?" Because you could easily get the response, "Well, no, who are you?" and then you could say, "Well, I'm blah 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 blah," and they'll say, "I'm sorry, I haven't heard of you."
I talked to I mean,
humiliation.
Yeah, I mean, God, like, yeah. I've met people as well of like large fame and notoriety, and you're right. The ones that one of the nicest men I've ever met, I mean, in general, was Tony Benn, who politically is probably not on the way that I think, with certain things. But he was incredibly warm, authentic, and I think I met him 3 times. Once was about a week before he died, and he wasn't in good shape then. But yeah, and it's funny. And some people, the higher up you go, I think, in a way, the nicer they can get. But there's the people, like, I think we've spoke about this before. You get lower middle class people that want to be middle class, so they. I've seen it in hotels that are like the average hotels, like the Hilton and DoubleTree and stuff like that are 3-4 star hotels. The staff are really, really firm with the rules. When you go into the Savoy and the Ritz and hotels like that, the staff just let you go and do what you want. It's a real sense of like there's a bracket of people, stars, who are not quite up there, who will act like they're up there. But once you're up there, a lot of people don't need to. I've heard really good things about David Beckham, where people have like met him off camera and chatting, and he'll stay and just chat and be completely normal, which is quite interesting. I met Muhammad Ali in Vegas, and he came out of a side door. It literally was like stood right where I was with me and my long-suffering girlfriend at the time, and I just started chatting with him. I was really nervous and out of my depth, and that was like incredible. And he was really nice, like really, really warm. And when I look back to Timothy Mallet saying, "Don't you know who I am?" Do you know the difference? I mean, what ego and fame and money does to people. They leave their own reality and become somebody else. But surely, the best thing is to have success, but stay grounded. It's something that I certainly struggle with, I guess, but in the past, obviously. But little bits of success go to you. Don't let success go to your head. That's one of the old tales from like older people. You're too big for your boots. Don't let success go to your head. He's not as good as what he thinks he is. He's a show off. He's a big head. Things like that go on, really. So, I mean, you don't get called that. I mean, you get called everything else. Some of it's deserved, but you don't get called big-headed, do you? Or show off, or no, you don't.
Keep narcissistic quite a few times over the years.
See, I don't. Oh God, it's a funny one because narcissism's so hard to define, to comprehend it.
Headed, and sometimes people will think, well, who do you think you are to say this and to do that and whatever.
The thing that I think it's fair to say you're a political narcissist or even a religious narcissist, whatever your political brackets religious narcissist, but where you confuse people at times, you can be incredibly humble, like it throws people off. And but I think with your ideology and the certainty of it, I think you're very narcissistic. I mean, Jesus was narcissistic as well. I mean, that has to be examined by Christians. They have to look at that. That if you look at narcissism and say, well, let's look at Jesus. He was a man who was claiming to be God or half God or whatever the hell, and claiming this is how you should live. This is how. The only way to live, and he said all of this stuff. Now that to me sounds narcissistic, doesn't it not?
Well, I guess you could call it self-belief. You can choose to call it narcissism, or you can call it self-belief, and who's to know which is really which. But the point is, he managed to get these Christians to worship him as God for quite a while. So
yeah, but there's self belief, but then there's the certainty of and especially when it affects other people. You see, narcissists don't often stay in their own company. They cannot handle it, which is why they become narcissists. But they need to project their energy, and they need people to look up to them. You know, I mean, I didn't want to mention Jen in this chat and go down that horrible route again, but you know, they need people less than them to look up to them, and they will behave in a way to sort of draw in that type of minnow. And they never, ever, ever surround themselves with people on their own level or above. It's always with lower people. So they never challenge. And if a narcissist thinks you're onto them, they'll run away. They'll like the narcissist fear has been found out. Yeah. So they'll only. I think Trump does that. I think it's why he sacks a lot of people. It's just an opinion, but people tend to work out what he's about, and then suddenly he's like, "Whoa, you know, let's get rid of him and get somebody else in."
Okay, but before we carry on, Stephen James has a question for you, and I guess.
Oh, good.
I've already answered him. I don't think you've heard of this guy, have you?
Hi, Stephen. I don't know. You've got to tell me his name. I can't.
Highlighted tweet comment in.
No, I don't know. I haven't looked at. I don't look at chat. But like, what is it? What's his question?
Can you tell us anything about the Indian Brit Ralph, aka Right Reaction? Any prior intercourse with him? And I've told him no.
No, I've never. Who is he?
Some YouTuber, I guess.
Ralph, okay. Right Reaction. No, but it's always interesting if you get an Indian or a foreign type. I thought he was going to give me some top tips for my GoPro or something. Stephen's a useful person to know. Right Reaction, patriotic weekly review. Ralph, Right Reaction, British speakers, corner neo-Nazi plays host. I've never heard of him, Stephen. So I don't know. But it's always confusing when a foreign person, a bit like Claire to a point, comes out with joins a movement, I guess, but they don't. They look and they don't represent what the. It's like Claire becoming, was it London mayoral representative for the BNP? I mean, what is? Do you remember we were in Pret at Hyde?
So it wasn't really that,
I mean, for people in the chat, we've got the prospect of Claire being the London mayoral candidate for the BNP. She's female, she's not from this country, and she despises what our religion is. Now, if that's not bad enough, do you remember, Claire, we were in Pret in Hyde Park, Marble Arch actually, and you introduced me to was he the new member? The new mayor?
Yes, Carlos Cortillo, who, after I was expelled from the BNP, became the London mayoral candidate. And
what was his name? What was his name? The BNP's mayoral candidate. What was his name?
Carlos Cortillo from Uruguay. Exactly, because the BNP wanted a foreign candidate.
Why did the BNP not rise to stardom?
No, actually, because there were lots of white people in the London party saying, "Well, we've got all these white people; they want to be London candidate," and Nick Griffin saying, "No, we don't. We actually want a foreign one." So after I got kicked out, it was Carlos Cortillo of Uruguay.
Wow. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, good. So anyway, is anything else to discuss, Claire? Because I think you said you've got to make a phone call later.
I still don't know the point. You wanted to talk about Noah's Ark, and I'm kind of waiting for you to discuss it. And now you want to know.
Oh no, well it's more so. Maybe I should do it on my own stream because it's more about. I think I got you to. I think what I was trying to get you to understand is that there probably wasn't a boat called Noah's Ark and all of the stuff that goes with it. And I think when I got the thing about parable across to you, it's basically like, so even the Trinity, are we to take it literally?
Well, the Trinity doesn't. You won't find in the Old or New Testament any reference to the Trinity. The Trinity was an idea cooked up at the Council of Nicaea in the year 325 AD. So,
but your argument with the Trinity, is that not just the same as me saying to you that in the Quran they talk about Muhammad getting on a winged horse and driving up into the sky or whatever it is, so that it's utter rubbish? So I will choose to take it literally because it's clearly idiotic. Therefore, that rubbishes the rest of the book. So are you not doing? And I do that. I mean, I don't. I don't hide from that. But are you not just doing that with the Bible? So you look at something which is clearly nonsense and clearly, impossible, and go, oh, that's the reason why you shouldn't follow it, because that fits in with your narrative to basically wipe Christianity out, and which is, quite a large order.
Itself out because you don't follow it, and that's why you're all in trouble. So I'm just saying, look at the history of all these different religions and look at their rules. And it's important
lots of people follow Christianity without going to church. Lots of people live in a Christian way. You have so many.
Understanding what I'm saying about the dual purpose of religion. You only concentrate on people believing in God and talking about their spirituality, and I'm not interested in that. And I'm saying that the spirit. You can only enjoy spirituality when you think you're doing it right. Okay, that's when you're happy and when you think you entered the kingdom of heaven, as you keep talking about it. But this is a personal thing for you only. The public purpose of religion is law and morality, and morality has to be enforced. It can't just be optional. And that's why it's important to have rules and the law. And you don't like the law because Christians always think, particularly Westerners, they think we separated the church from the state. And aren't we clever? Haven't we done so well? Because we separated the church from the state. And
you get
for it. There was a historical reason for it, and you were talking about Christianity this and Christianity that, and it's like the Americans did it for a reason, and nobody ever asked themselves why. So why do you think the Americans did that? You ask an American, they don't even know. Why did they separate the church from the state? Can you tell me?
Me, I don't even understand it. I mean, I don't even know much about it. But I mean, that's a sort of conversation with people who've got a lot more intelligence and historical knowledge than me.
For you, okay. So before the New World, before Europeans colonized the New World, there was this idea that the church was part of the state. And this is reflected now even in modern Britain, because in the House of Lords, you have bishops that can vote for or against laws. Mm-hmm. So the different kinds of peers, and bishops are considered, life peers. And Jonathan Sachs, the Lord Chief Rabbi, he has a place in the House of Lords because he has been ennobled. But in the older days, it was, of course, religion and government is the same. So, if you go right back to before, okay, the time of Henry VIII, it's like he was absolute dictator. So what was the role of these, Cardinal Wolsey and, all the subsequent ones? They were there to advise the monarch. So, even then, it's like, the Archbishop, the cardinals, when Britain, England was still Catholic.
Yeah, so they linked. Yeah, they linked up. I get that. I mean, they linked up. So a lot of the laws that are passed, the church has got a lot to do with it. So a lot of the laws will be a reflection of the religion. So church and state are linked. Yeah. So did America separate them completely? When was that?
Yeah, because they had a lot of trouble. And I'm sure you've heard of the Salem witch trials when, all these white English-speaking Christian people basically persecuted each other and shot each other, resulting in the Salem witch trials. There was mass hysteria, and they were all white and Christian and English-speaking, and from the same part of the world, from, the old country.
Well, that's a great example of Christians not following procedure. I mean, every day I don't follow it. I try to bend the rules all the time, as you do with your lab fast as well, I may add. But
well, I'm not Muslim. I don't have to. So it's only optional fasting. But can I, explain the origin of the First Amendment? So basically, I'm sure there was a lot of voices at the time saying, why doesn't America have a church, an official church? In England we do. It's called the Anglican Church, the Church of England. And all these other countries, after they kicked out the Catholics, have their own established churches. So, and I guess, but Jefferson said, no, we're not going to have any official religion, because the official religion is going to basically lord it over the other ones. As long as we all believe in God, we'll be all right. So basically, that was why, after the Salem witch trials and all the infighting amongst all these different Christians who practice Christian on Christian religious persecution on each other, the Americans said, no, we won't have an established church, because we don't want to have the same old trouble in the old world following us to the new world. We're not going to do that. We're going to turn over a new leaf.
And
that worked for a while.
When you said that, as long as Jefferson said, well, as long as we all believe in God, then we're okay. Like, that sounds really good.
Well, he didn't actually say that. No, but the Declaration of Independence implies God, because it says man is everywhere created equal.
But it is okay if people in Saudi Arabia follow Muhammad. I don't mind. It's when it's kind of encroached on your space. I don't mind if people in Pakistan follow, or people in India follow. It's like it's when it's.
It's like, they can do it, but what do you believe? You don't know what you really believe. You just think, my few books from Emmett Fox is enough to do me. It might do you for your lifetime, but I'm saying, the bigger picture for society in this country, nationwide, is that something needs to be done. And I'm not getting much cooperation from you there, but then you're not really interested in affairs of state, and I guess you just assume that nobody's going to listen to you, maybe. But obviously there's something wrong, right?
Oh, well, I've got, unlike you, I've got no desire, like, within myself to
I know, change. Because I know that, and then you're going to retreat into, I don't really care about politics. but I'm a political activist. So, okay, so there's no point talking to you because you're saying, oh, it's not my place anyway to talk about these things. And I'm not never going to get to because I can't be bothered to read these books because I'm not, ideas just, clutter up my head. And I like to be tidy inside my head. And I don't want all these silly ideas, getting in my way and upsetting me.
No, but isn't the root of your frustration because your words, not mine? I am the archetype of the Western man, and every time
you're saying I expect the government to look after me, and I'm saying the government doesn't care about you.
Can I just
about.
No. Can I just say something, Claire? I've said many times on streams with you that the more self-sufficient I am, the better my life is. Financially, spiritually, emotionally, intelligently, practically everything. And for people that rely on the government, it is a one-way ticket to hell. So that's my no. That's my views. No, you've just said to me, you say that you want the government to look after you.
No, I'm not saying.
No, you did. You just did it.
Okay, to the extent that I expect the government to govern us properly with, proper objectives in mind. I expect them to do their job. All right. I don't think the welfare state has been a good thing for the characters of the British people. In fact, it's made the working. Okay, it's utterly destroyed what was called the Protestant work ethic, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. The welfare state has destroyed.
I think it's a good thing for people who need it. I mean, if a person's played the rules, gone by what he's supposed to do, and suddenly gets knocked over on a zebra crossing by a car, and he's got a broken leg, he should be compensated or whatever by the government, by the organisation that he's contributed to. My argument is that people who haven't contributed, the best example is that, like, my parents, or one of them at some point, could be in a home where the value of their money goes down by £1,000 a week, mm-hmm. whereas they'll be sat beside a person who has basically done crime and sold drugs all their lives, and then the state will be paying for the drug person. So that's like, it's wrong. It makes people not want to do well, because you can survive on the state if you are degenerate and you don't want to become something, whatever, or just, I don't know, join in with what we're supposed to do. And of course that's wrong. So do I expect the government to look after us? No, I've given up. I've given up on the delusion that the government make decisions in favour of people's best interests.
Okay, I know. So you're saying you don't give a damn. People who rely on the government are stupid. I'm saying the government should do its job and govern. Well, not be actually harming people, and at least using its position to have rational laws.
Well, I had a fantastic conversation with OV yesterday, because I always play devil's advocate with him and challenge his ideas. I agreed with a lot of the stuff he was saying yesterday, as I do with you. But OV was on about his favourite tribe, as you can guess. And he was, because the question was, which got my ears pricked up when I came on the stream, was OV and Zero were talking about you, and OV said, the thing I want to know about Claire, and you answer this now, Claire, is Claire pro-Jewish or anti-Jewish?
I'm neutral.
Well, this is it. This is the point. And I imagine the chat will be throwing plates and rocks at you at the minute. But I came on the stream then, and I said she's neither. She's an external force almost. She looks down upon it and sees a system. It's almost like a physician moving the pieces around, and she thinks that the Jews are not doing what they are supposed to do, and from that they are the strongest tribe, so it's a shit fest down. And that's so she's looking to put the three things in, and OV got it completely. OV understood it.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
and that's well, I wasn't doing it for you. I was just saying that, like, I mean, yeah, thank you for saying thank you, but I mean, I wasn't doing it on that. I finally understood that OV was saying, so she hasn't got a player in this. She hasn't got a personal, like, oh, it's my religion. And I said, well, exactly, that's the point. So she's. And I said I likened it to an American football game where in American football you've got what's called a quarterback, and everything comes from the quarterback. No play comes from anywhere else. So the quarterback's got the ball, which would be the Jews, and he decides what's going to happen. Yes, he's got rules from the manager and the coaches, but sometimes he does his own thing. That may work, it might not work, but it all comes from that. So OV and Zero were saying, but why does she think they are the leaders? And I said, well, I don't know, like, apart from the reason they say they are, which to me is incredible how someone can say we're the best because we're chosen because, well, who says so? You know, I say it's the same as Jen. It's the same as Jen saying I'm a great leader, but when you look round, she hasn't got anybody who follows her. But who says you're a great leader? Me. But the demonstration is not. So if you look at Jews saying we're chosen, who thinks they're chosen? It's only them. So Jen has the same mentality of the Jews, which is very, like, ignorant and not even narcissistic. It's just belligerence, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember that 10-minute video I showed OV twice, and I don't think he remembers it. It's called Jews Are Evidence of God, or something like that. Do you remember that? Have you ever seen it? Do you want to see it now? It's only 10 minutes.
No. I mean, not now. No.
Okay.
Well, no, I find it boring. I mean, I can sum it up. If anybody says to me they're chosen, I mean, I would never punch them in the nose, but I would laugh.
Okay.
I mean, they're not chosen.
Well, I mean, it says so in their book, and they're supposed to
hang on. Whoa. Whose book?
The Torah. No.
No, their book, Claire.
Yeah, I know.
It says so in their book.
But you have to admit that Christianity is derived from Judaism.
No. Get back to it.
Well, I don't know how you can it.
If I tell you that I'm chosen as the most handsome man in the world,
well, if you won a contest, if there was a sort of male beauty contest and you won, or if
there is. I mean, look, there's my life, and it isn't very often I walk down the street and people stop me and say, "Hey, I think you're the best looking man in the world," right? So the evidence is that I'm not. But if I say to you, I'm chosen as, you say to me, who chose you? And I say, well, it's written down. Where's it written? In my diary. Who wrote it? Oh, me. I wrote it.
Well, they're going to say God, and then you ask, well, what evidence have you got? And it says it's in our book.
It's a narcissistic.
Mount Sinai, blah blah blah.
This is not anti-Jewish or anything like that. It's anti-humanist. If anybody says I'm chosen because God, I mean Jesus as well. God damn it! But it's like you can't take that seriously, Claire.
No,
you can. But you need.
I do take it seriously because it fits into my narrative, which you're denying, but but then you insist on being Christian or using the religion of Christianity to give your ideas weight. And I'm saying Christianity came from Judaism, and you have to go back to Moses, and the Torah was handed to Moses by God on Mount Sinai. That is the narrative, even if you don't believe it.
Right.
And then our prophet is also God. And it's like, well, everybody's going, well, we don't believe it. And so, well, that, but...
No, so this is what I was saying to OV, and Zero got it as well. So I was actually doing you a favour. I mean, what I was doing was actually explaining it to them in language, I think, which they because they think that you're trying to convert them, and they think you're coming from a position of pro. But I was saying that you look at what is supposed to happen in much the same way that a scientist will look at different elements and wonder why it's not happening. And the main element is not playing its part and not doing its thing. And LV said, no, that's true. She criticizes them a lot for not following what they're supposed to do. And I said, okay. And from that, other religions don't do this and don't do that. They then got into the conversation, which I don't know anything about, was so why the fuck actually turned to the Quran? And that's the conversation for another time and another place. But I was able to explain and understand that you just look at it like almost as if it's not even human. It's just like, well, that piece, that's A, that's B, that's C. It's supposed to work together. It doesn't. So clearly, unless A are going to do what they're supposed to do, which will carry on to B and C, then it needs to change around. So it was actually quite useful to sort of understand your philosophy. I mean, it's only taken 3 years, God damn it.
I know. Well, I'm so glad that the pennies dropped, for you.
Well, it's actually quite nice because it's not like you're trying to push me into some religious sect or denomination.
How long has it taken for you to finally realize I don't want you to convert to Islam and there's no need for anyone to?
Well, I've always mentally known that, but from understanding where you're coming from, I mean, it's quite dangerous to sort of go into your mind and understand where you're coming from. It's scary.
You managed to get into it and come out alive.
Yeah, it's like going in. I was swimming through some caves the other day, and it was like going into secular Quranism. Really, it was like the tides.
Get out! I'll die here. Oh my God!
I sent you the pictures of my friend and his GoPro, Stephen James, not me. And you're swimming through some caves, and it's fucking frightening.
It was all dark.
Yeah, you see the light at the other side, and only maybe meters or something, but the water's really turbulent in there, and you get pushed. God, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I was able to explain to them, and then I had a discussion with OV about. OV was saying to me, "Do you think they're a cult?"
Who?
And I said, "The Jews."
Oh.
And I said, "Well, what is a cult?" Because I think of cults like David Koresh, where you get a bunch of people, and I'm probably showing my ignorance here, but you get a bunch of people who choose not to live the way others are living, and they separate themselves from civilization and society and live their own way, which I think's great. Like if they want to do that, and whatever, even if it doesn't work for them, I don't care. People should be free to do that. But they don't do that. They separate themselves and want to live a certain way, but then demand others do certain things or have influence. So that's not the definition of a cult, is it? I think cults keep themselves together.
Marginalized religion. It's like, there's already the state religion, and the cult is the one that's, the fringe religion.
Is a cult religious based? Is it based on a religion? Is it? Let's have a look.
So it implies that there is a mainstream religion, and the cult is not part of it. So Scientology for ages was considered a cult, and I think that there's some I think that they recently said, well, you're not allowed to call us a cult anymore because we're a proper religion now, and there's some legal process that they've got themselves in America.
I thought it was social. Say if like me and 3 friends decided we want to live in a field in a tent, and then we'd form our own cult called tentism. But No.
You could do that. I mean, that was how the Jews started out. So, I mean, they could say, well, you guys are the cult that got bigger than us because we gave you the idea of the Abrahamic God, and you worship him in your own, forbidden way, and we're the ones who got it right, and the evidence that we're God's chosen people is because we're still around. We've been around for much longer than
but Claire, if the rest of the world said, look, we think you're the chosen people because you're really give a great demonstration and you're honest and the way you live, and we think you're chosen, I could kind of go along with that in a funny sort of way. But if somebody says, hey, I'm chosen, me, who says so? Me. As I say, that's the Jen Sharp school of success. Just say it and don't demonstrate it. And when you get questioned about it, have a fucking tampon hissy fit. So that's you kind of take them seriously purely by saying we are chosen. If it comes from them, it doesn't work like that. Muhammad Ali used to say, I'm the greatest, and he used to demonstrate it. And that's the one thing that anybody who says they're great, they kind of have to be great. Have you heard of the word authenticity? So you cannot be great and not demonstrate it. That's the one thing. And I think anybody who calls themselves chosen, it's hard to kind of respect it, don't you think? Well, this, Claire.
You say that we're the ones who have worshipped the Abrahamic God that you guys also worship.
Okay, question.
Did. So it's
question, Claire.
A branch of the Abrahamic faiths. So that's what we're going to say.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Would you say that Jewish people are chosen when you look at how they live in the world today?
Well, what I also said was
no. Look at how they live their lives.
Blah blah blah. Then okay.
No, answer the question.
Okay, repeat your question again.
You're worse than OV. Would you, when you look at how the Jews demonstrate their faith in the world today, would you say that they are chosen people? For example, having a lot to do with...
I know what you're going to say. Are they cool people? Are they...
No. This is Claire. Claire,
they are part of the elite because, you have YouTubers who've dedicated their lives equating Jews with the liberal elite. So they've got high places.
Would you like me to... Would you like me to reword the question and ask it for a third time, or would you like to move on?
No, I want to clear it up. So carry on. You don't think you've received the right answer from me, so carry on.
Well, the answer doesn't relate to the question. It's the right answer, but to a different question, which I haven't asked. So the question, and I'll try and make it more simpler. If there was a person looking down on the earth, and they looked at how the Jews live and behave, would that person think, wow, they are the chosen people?
Okay, you are saying that...
Do you want me to ask again?
Superior. That's what you're trying to say. They have to be cool, and you have to instinctively want to look up to them because they're so cool. And
Claire,
it's like,
okay.
They're not meant to be cool for people like you to think they're cool and want to be like them.
Okay, I think question number 5 for you.
No,
I changed it. No. It's the same psychology. Do you think Jen is a great leader, bearing in mind with her demonstration she hasn't got any followers?
Obviously she isn't really, a great leader or a leader at all. She's just a YouTube personality.
No, but she says she's a great leader, so that's the same as saying that we are chosen.
don't think we should
So,
mock the afflicted.
are you saying which one of them is afflicted? But it's the same thing. You believe they're chosen because they say so. But when you look at the demonstration in the world, Claire, they are clearly not chosen. And when you look at the demonstration,
no, it's not clear. You can't say, "Oh, I don't look up to them. I don't like them. I don't envy them. I don't want to be one of them." That doesn't mean they're not chosen. They are chosen. Okay. You say, "Well, who chose them?" And then they'll have to say, "Well, God chose us. He said so."
well, no, they did.
And you have to upset this narrative and say, "Oh no, he didn't choose you. He chose us." And then they'll say, "Well, have you got scripture
But
to show?"
the narrative doesn't work out in the real world, Claire. It's like, I'm a great leader with no followers.
No, they don't say they're great leaders. They say we
I'm chosen.
are God's chosen people. And then you say, well, do you have to be?
Would you say, okay? Question for you. Would you say that a person who follows religion, who claims to be religious, or would you say that their behavior and the way they live is a reflection on their religion?
Well, the interesting thing about their religion is that obviously they don't all follow it. Okay, and there are more secular liberal Jews than there are observant Jews, and this is in itself interesting because I'm just saying, the secular liberal Jews are the free riders, using the observance of these religious Jews that gives Jewry as a whole their identity, and reminding us of their chosen status, and this drives the anti-Semites crazy because they can't bear the thought of this status above them has been given by God. And if they're Christians or Muslims, it does drive them crazy, right? So I think Christians dealt with it by saying, well, you said, we're going to really piss you off with the Trinity, and say, this man, who, this Jew is who is our prophet is God, and Jews are forbidden from having divine prophets, which is why they had Christ crucified. Okay, so that's a narrative. We all know that Christ was accused of blasphemy because he said his papa was God, and then he was, taken before Pilate, and they said, he's a revolutionary. You have to have him killed, executed, because he's guilty of blasphemy, and under our laws, we execute idolaters and blasphemers. So that's a narrative, and then the Christians actually confirmed it and said no, yeah, we do worship Christ as God. So it's idolatry, as far as the Jews are concerned. And then the Muslims came along saying, oh, we accept all the prophets of Jews and Christians. We even accept the virgin birth. We just deny that Christ is Son of God. And Christians are wrong. But we want you all to join Islam, because we already accept all your prophets. And then there's lots of stories in the Quran that refer to, Lot and Moses and Christ and Mary and that kind of thing. So you can see that there is a continuing narrative, like, well, maybe you didn't quite get the story right, and our story is better than yours, and it's more inclusive, and our rules are clearer.
I mean, you mentioned rules, but you said, I mean, there's a few reasons about Christianity that you don't like, but you said that Christianity is kaput because Christians don't follow the rules. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Judaism?
Yeah, so they don't follow the rules, and Muslims don't follow the rules either. So,
So is Judaism kaput?
No, because it's still around enough to give Jews their identity.
So is Christianity still around enough?
And I'm afraid, Western Gentiles are complaining about Muslims and Jews. So they have their distinct identity, but you don't quite regard yourselves as Christian. And you don't protects you from Jews and Muslims because you're always complaining about them.
Well, no, I don't. I don't really complain. I mean, I don't have the answer. That's where we differ. I mean, I find it interesting. I find it incredible that, like, have you heard that saying? If you say it enough, you might start to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm chosen. I'm a great leader. There's no difference. I'm chosen and I'm a great leader. The evidence given out, you know, if I said to you, I'm a fantastic chef, you might say, well, can I taste something that you've made? And I'd say, oh, no, my food's horrible. It's meant to hurt you. It's poisonous. It's not nice. I'm not actually good at cooking food, but I'm the best chef in the world. The evidence does not add up to the primary reason why you have to look up to these people. So
you don't have to look up to them, okay? There's no reason to look up to them.
So we're
look up to Muslims. What you're competing with Jews and Muslims for at the moment is the identity dimension of their, you know, of their group. It's like, well, Jews have been around for much longer than you guys, and Muslims, they're the new kid in town, but they seem to, you know, get better treated by your government having just arrived. And this is what is driving you guys mad.
Well,
how dare they? How could they? Why, you know, why doesn't our government look after us? And I'm saying they don't look after you because they're now a matriarchy, and a matriarchy is a society that, you know, just doesn't care about things like marriage and family values. But if you did practice it, then people would respect marriage again. And once you did respect marriage, then, you know, you would be in more control of your society.
Do you think marriage is a failing pastime or whatever it's called because of the failure of religion?
Well, I wouldn't advise anyone to get married until no-fault divorce is abolished. Unfortunately, no political activist will want to say that because they're actually too afraid. You know, it's like nobody who is complaining about feminism wants to marry.
If the Jews are chosen people by God, God was in favor of marriage, I believe. Why are people like you saying we shouldn't get married? Aren't you going against what the chosen people are supposed to believe in?
Well, marriage has to have certain conditions for it to exist. So you show that you respect marriage by saying only these people are allowed to get married. And
I would
has given it to LGBTs. So it shows that Western governments don't respect marriage, because the whole purpose of marriage is for legitimate children, and Westerners don't even care about that. There are two bastards now in Downing Street.
Yeah, I found that strange, and I find Mark Collett and his family values and his apple pie and his daughter, sorry, and Boris. I guess if I was to get married, that would be the best demonstration of that I respect marriage. I can come in here and say what I want. I think all of us do, but when you look at how we live, and you know, like the thing with racism, you know, it's like it's how we live. It's very difficult to be inwardly a thief and want and what everybody else has got, and not to actually steal. It takes a lot of willpower to go against your internal desires. So if you're malfunctioning on the inside, eventually you'll cave in and go and steal.
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
I mean, the question of marriage is, you know, I wouldn't advise you to get married because, you know, if your wife can divorce you on no fault, you know, under the rules of no fault divorce, you will lose status. And you know, so you're saying, well, okay, she divorces me, I don't really care, but you will lose status because, you know, you will have a failed marriage. under, and the people will know that your marriage has failed. So but if you're not in control of your marriage, then you'll be laughed at for being henpecked, right? So
no,
so,
but,
so
if I got married, like, it would be impossible for any woman to want to divorce me.
Why?
It's just logical. It's truth.
Oh, because you're so wonderful. But I understand you used to be married and now you're no longer married. So I guess
I didn't like it. I've never fitted it. I'm pretty much my own person, like, with everything, and I don't do very well when I'm kind of feel tied into something, whether it be a social thing, a marriage, even a relationship. I mean, I don't like the feeling of having to not conform, but I guess in a way it is, but
live up to expectations.
No, not so much that, because it's more the people's expectations of me tend to be different to the reality of what I want to put out. But I don't like. I just like being mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, like, on my own. I love my own company. I don't. This thing with this lockdown, to me, is kind of bliss in a way, because I can. Of course, I still see my friends and do what I do, but I can quite happily sit for hours in my own head, in my own space. I mean, I get bored and stuff, but I don't. I find it hard to fit in, like, as in, and not feel like, oh, I have to do this or be there. Just, leave. I like to come and go, really. So which for me, marriage is, it's like being in prison.
Yes. Well, I would describe marriage as a mutual contract of enslavement. Now, there is a question in the chat that I'd like to answer, because Alex seems to be challenging me on
I like Alex.
that Christianity is not kaput. So he says, so Christians, like Jews, are still 100% convinced they are part of that religion, even though they break its rules. So there are all these Christians, all these Jews, all these Muslims who think they're Jews, Christians, and Muslims, even though they break its rules. And I'm saying that is the problem. You can, say, I'm Jewish, and then you break all the rules. You say you're Christian, you break all the rules. You say you're Muslim, and then you don't get the benefit of these rules. So, in the end, you'll get angry with your government because life isn't stable, your economy is being trashed by stupid policies of government, and you know that what you leave behind to your children will be worse than what your parents leave to you.
Yeah, it's an
going down.
I think it's an interesting point. So Alex is saying, so Christians, like Jews, are still 100% convinced that they are part of that religion, even though they break the rules. Yeah. I think the rules are impossible to keep 100%, but to strive for them and in a sane way, do as much as what you can is all what we can do. Yeah. It's like physical fitness every day. It's virtually impossible to eat the exact food, the exact right thing, and the exact sort of training and whatever. It's so the ideal is in the books that are written and the rules laid down. And I think there should be almost a preface that says, "Look, guys, this is the ideal thing, but let's try and get as close to this as what you can." Okay. I think that's more, fair. That's more sensible.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned the rules. Yeah, and they're important because we need to know what they actually say. So we know that, in theory anyway, don't you, that the rules in the Torah are more restrictive than the rules in the Quran.
No, I don't. No, I don't know. My knowledge on this stuff is pretty useless. I find it really dull. I mean,
okay. But, I mean, I can quickly explain to you that there are more capital punishment. There's more penalty crimes okay. There are more capital crimes in the Torah than there are in the Quran.
So, is that why Muslims commit more violence?
Okay, I know you're just going to get your users to talk about how much you hate Muslims because you think they're criminals and terrorists, but
not all of them, just most of them.
We're just looking at the rules, okay? We're not talking about who breaks them most. We're talking about what the rules say, and Judaism has more capital offences. So you break the Sabbath, you get stoned to death. You're a drunken, disobedient son, you get stoned to death. You're guilty of sodomy, you get stoned to death. You pick up sticks on Saturday, you get stoned to death. You're an adulterer, you're convicted of adultery, you get stoned to death. This is actually what it says in the Torah. So over the centuries, they've been saying, oh, it doesn't really mean that, because basically the Talmud is just saying, oh, it doesn't really mean that. You know, we won't kill you if you break the Sabbath. We'll leave you alone, but, you'll be punished, after you're dead, whatever it is. So they've been diluting the rules because the Torah is so much harsher than they're actually prepared to deal with. Okay, so if you look up Deuteronomy, there'll be drunken, disobedient sons shall be stoned to death. So they've been breaking these rules, and because they've been breaking these rules, everybody gets the idea that they can break the rules too, and then even the Muslims.
So you would say that the problem starts with the Jews. That's what you're saying now.
Well, they're also part of the solution because over the centuries, over the ages, people kind of realize that it's better to have rules that are realistic and reflect.
But you just said they've been. Hang on. I'm just quoting you. You just said that the problem is they've been flaunting these rules for years, and so people underneath think, well, if they do it, we can. So I say to you, and I'm asking you for the second time. So therefore, by dint of what you've said, you're saying the problem starts with the Jews.
No.
But if they're the chosen people, not following the rules from the top down, then what sort of example is that giving? You just said that the people at the bottom look up and think, well, they don't follow the rules, so why should we? Checkmate.
The rules can only be followed if they are realistic and practical.
So you're saying that the Torah is not realistic or practical?
They sound a bit harsh to me.
So they sound harsh, and the Jews don't follow them, and people underneath them think, well, if they're not following their rules, why should we follow ours? And yet you still say that the Jews are not responsible for the initial stages of the problems.
Well, we need a system of rules. We have the Quran. The Quran is a more refined, advanced model of monotheism.
What religion in the world today would you say causes the most damage by its members not following the rules?
Christianity.
But if Christians look up to the Jews and think, well, they don't follow their rules, why should we? Would you like to give another answer?
Well, the answer is, if you don't follow the rules and bad things happen, then follow the rules next time.
So the Jews don't follow the rules because Christians don't, or you say Christians are the catalyst?
It's possible because you can say, well, Jews have had their morals corrupted by living in the West. And your position is that eventually Muslims who live in the West will have their morals corrupted too. And
I'm doing, look,
you're kind of saying that would be a good thing, or not. I'm not quite sure what's your position.
No, I'm asking questions because there's clearly contradictions in what you're saying, and when I point them out,
okay. If I can explain to you
whenever I point something out like contradictions, you
okay.
You
how have I contradicted myself? How have I contradicted myself?
Well, Claire, I can repeat what I've said, and you're never going to admit it. You're never going to say yes.
What?
The contradiction.
Okay, the contradiction is.
No, I'm not doing the game. I know how you've contradicted yourself. You know it. The people listening in know it.
Okay, so you're saying we don't need a religion because nobody follows it. Are you saying
no,
that?
I think.
No. Let's all follow James. What's it?
Well, we might be better off. I mean, I'm the one that hasn't got a problem with it. You know,
restore the patriarchy, do you? Because you don't want to get married.
When you said patriarchy, then I thought of the word pastry. I mean, that's probably where I'm at with it.
You're a bit peckish now.
No, you want me to get off the.
I've actually invited you to detail your claim. So you say I've contradicted myself because I don't say Jews are the problem.
Well, you won't say that because.
Well, I do say they are part of the problem and the solution.
Yeah, I mean, I'm too old for this with you.
No. It would be great if I could explain myself, but then you want to move on to something else. Because I mean, the problem of the West is that its religion is not working, and Alex is saying, "Oh, but there are all these Christians," and I'm saying, "But these Christians are non-player characters." They just say,
okay. It's really simple. I think a child.
And that is a problem. So
you're saying you're okay.
Don't defend any principle, then you know.
If you had a classroom where the teacher was always late and not following the rules, being on time, and all the children were therefore being late and not being on time, and the children said to each other, well, the teacher's not even following the rules, so why should we? I said to you, is the problem start with the teacher? And you said no, it starts with the children.
No, I didn't say that. I said Jews are part of the solution and the problem.
Would you agree with me that if the Jews followed their rules,
then everything would be all right? Okay, if they decided we're going to follow our rules now, then a lot of people would just drop out because it would be too restrictive for them, and they will look for an easier version, and then they'll see Christianity, but they'll see that Christianity doesn't particularly protect Christians, and then they'll have to look at Islam. But nobody's been forced to even think these things through. They think democracy and liberalism will carry on forever when it's clear it's kaput. Liberalism and Christianity are kaput.
Well, it might carry on.
Why am I stuck here talking to you people? It's because nobody will talk to me. Because what? They're too scared, right? I mean,
Claire, no, I mean you're. I think you enjoy bumping along at the bottom. I
don't. So you're saying I should be on Radio 4. I should be talking to the great and the good, but I'm not, because they're deliberately ignoring me so that I am marginalized, and they'll say, look, she's just talking to these, low status, low information, low education people who are mentally ill. And we'll just tar her with the same brush and say she's like these people too. And
why do you?
I mean, why aren't I on the New Culture Forum? Because they're all Christians and they hate me for what I say.
Well, if they're all Christians,
And then the non-Christians in nationalism, like Millennial Woes and Mark Collett, they won't have me on because they know they can't win the argument.
What was the name of that what was what was the name of the program? The cultural something? What was it?
New Culture Forum.
What have you got to offer? What have you got to offer New Cultural Forum and its listeners?
Secular Quranism.
You said
they can take it apart, but they won't even go there because they're basically Catholics. They're a bunch of Catholics and a gay man to sort of make it all right, tokenism, right? So they use Peter Whittle, who can string a sentence or two together, and they're basically ex-Catholics or ex-Catholics. And they can't defend the Trinity because they know I will just go in and, slay it. And that's why these Christians won't talk to me. They know that.
Well,
and why have Christians got away with it? They use blasphemy laws to say, "Oh, you're a blasphemer. We'll burn you as a heretic at the stake. That will teach you to deny the Trinity." That was what they did in the olden days when Christians took Christianity seriously.
But I would imagine that I will never get invited to speak in a mosque, and I don't really have a problem with that because I understand that.
Because you're not a political activist, and you just come here to laugh at us. I understand.
That's another. You've said 3 or 4 today that are, you just make them. You make them up. You think them. Do you think that if you think something, then it must be true?
Oh, why are you here?
Because I enjoy it. I really enjoy talking to you and doing these streams. It's simple as that. Do you like doing things that you enjoy, or do you prefer doing things that you don't enjoy?
I enjoy doing this thing. I mean, obviously, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be doing it. But anyway, you're not a political activist, and you have no skin in the game except to have your fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, fun sounds like I'm laughing and smiling, but occasionally I do when you don't answer the question. But no, it's good. It's a good mental exercise. It's enjoyable. At times it's fun. I've been enjoying Cunups and OV quite a lot. There's a lot of behind the scenes. I hate the word banter, but it sadly is banter going on. I enjoy challenging your mind. I enjoy asking you questions and seeing how you answer them and seeing how you avoid answering them, and which is what I was doing yesterday with OV. But I think I found my own answer to a lot of things, which works for me. Occasionally, I may try and thrust it upon 1 or 2 people, but I've kind of give up on that. Even though today I'm called Pastor J, which is an obvious LARP, a bit like your LARPadan fasting. Yeah, but the thing is, what's your motives? What's your reasons for doing it? That's a question that's kind of, a person would ask that when they haven't, I don't know, they're kind of still trying to work things out and analyze everything. And I think it's quite good to get to a point where you, like children are pretty good, or dogs. They do things because they maybe want to do them or they like doing them, and that's as far as it goes. I mean, there could be 3 people listening to this. There could be 300. It doesn't really make that much difference, does it? To me, anyway. I mean, to you, because you're an activist. But saying that, even though you say you're a political activist, I mean, I've questioned that as well. Because I think if you were a serious activist, I don't think you'd probably use these streams to further your mind, but then you would go out into the real world and actually try to push, promote, stuff like that. But I think you're a political activist on this stream, so it will not change anything ever. So,
well,
yeah, I would say that. Yeah, you're a political activist, but
you're okay. I think that there is a difference between it being a political activist and somebody who just wants to be part of the political establishment. My view is that it's completely rotten. So for me to try and join it by shutting up and working my way up through joining a political party, becoming a councillor, MP, and crap like that would be stupid. I'm just saying, I have a few simple ideas that people will get if to explain why everything has gone wrong, and to compromise on that message is just to not get it through. And nobody can say, oh, but you're wrong about that. Christianity isn't kaput. Democracy is working perfectly. We don't have a problem with Jews, Muslims, and non-whites or immigration. We're perfectly happy. You can't say that. You're not perfectly happy. You're wondering what the hell is happening.
In parts of England where there are like physically no Jews, Muslims, or immigration, people are happy, Claire.
I know, but I know you like to gloat at everyone saying, oh, look at me, I'm, in this wonderful place where there are no Jews and Muslims or non-white to worry about. Look at you in your, inner city, you're a sad bunch, aren't you? But I can gloat at you and
that's
and piss on you.
That's yet another thing that you're telling people that I think. I mean,
I think, of course, you're not going to say that's what you think, but
you've decided that that's what I think.
I'm sure that deep down, you think you're in a better place, and you can laugh at the government, and you can say,
no, I'm in a bit.
Do anything. I don't need to change my ways. Nobody needs to change their ways. When we get pissed off enough, we can kill and kick people out. That's why you will never take any solution seriously, because it's not worth your while. It's more than your job's worth.
Well, I've really
your supporters, because people come here to listen to you. You're the white man telling me that my idea will never be accepted because you don't see why you should change your ways. You did nothing wrong. Christianity is not kaput. Democracy is, well, the best thing since sliced bread or whatever. It's all working perfectly, but you hate the Jews and the Muslims.
I've started eating rye bread, oddly enough, German, 89 pence from Lidl. Breaks your teeth, but I realise that the best solution for me is me. I mean, my problems lie within, as do my solutions. So for me to look to a political system or a government or a council or another person to appoint is insane. So am I in a better place? Yes, because I've got out of somewhere that I didn't particularly enjoy anymore.
But you have no solution for other people.
Oh no, I haven't. I mean, I've got opinions, but I'm not so arrogant, egotistical, and twisted to think that I know what's best for you. I mean, what's best for you?
Actually, you're always giving me advice, and then you're denying that you're giving me advice.
Oh no.
Egotistical and arrogant. And okay, I don't mind taking these accusations. I mean, if you're going to say my ideas are wrong, then tell me what better ones you have and why my idea is wrong. You're saying people don't need a religion, they don't need a functioning political system. They can all move to the seaside like you, can they?
If I was watching a football game and whatever, David Beckham missed a penalty or something, and all the fans booed, then do you think it's fair that he turns around and says to the crowd, well, you have a go? Like, he's there as penalty taker. You're the one that's claiming to be a political activist. So I say, okay.
And I'm saying I have an idea, and you're saying I have to like it. And I'm saying only a child would expect a invasive procedure necessary to save his life to be something he likes.
Well, the one thing, and I will lose you here, and I know I will. The one thing is that when you pray, or you're internally willing to open yourself up to the powers that be, shall we say, you can get some pretty dark moments. As in, there might be areas of your character which need to change or remove, or ego deflation, and that stuff can be pretty rank. Dark night of the soul is one of the really good things that can happen to people, but it can be unbearable. So I think, and it sounds a bit pompous, but I think I'm pretty willing to take spiritual medicine on a daily basis. You need to go through self-truth or awareness or whatever reality to kind of get beyond it. So it isn't nice, a lot of it. So I'm more than happy to take a punishment in order to get forwards. I think every day I kind of do that. I mean, look, when people go to the gym, which I certainly don't do, but when people like bodybuilders, they go through that pain process because there is a reward. And I think a lot of people who pray or meditate or do stuff, it's not pleasant. It's not about becoming smiley, and it's more about getting real and getting, truth's a funny word, but I don't think you have an understanding of that, and that's not a criticism. It's the same way as I don't have an understanding on a lot of the stuff you're going about.
You go back to spirituality. You don't get spirituality, Claire, and this is how I pull rank. You don't enter the kingdom of heaven every day. You don't get it about spirituality. Okay, I mean, it's like you're showing again that you don't get the other purpose of religion, and you reject it, and then say, oh, but it's not my place to but that's why I shouldn't really have to talk to people like you, because you will forever pretend not to get
it. I don't think that I'm better or worse than you, or I do what works for me, and you.
I know you will say that, but I mean, when push comes to shove, you'll say, I'm better off than you because I enter the kingdom of heaven every day, and you don't, Claire, because you don't care about spiritual. And I'm saying, you're right, I'm not interested in talking about entering the kingdom of heaven as you do every day. I hate this kind of language.
Have you ever been to a Christian church with anybody and prayed?
You're going to say that there was this time when you took me to this church and you prayed, and I went along with it. So,
you just said you're not interested in entering the kingdom of heaven.
Well, I didn't think you did some prayer about something, and I was polite.
Oh yeah, I made you do it.
Saying, what did I say?
But aren't you in favour? I made you do it. I made you do it. But I
entering that church.
But aren't you in favour of the Aren't you in favour of the patriarchy? If I made you do it, aren't you in favour of the patriarchy? I made you do it.
No, I don't think. I don't think you understand the meaning of the word patriarchy, and I think it's probably the intention, for the rest of your life, not to get what I'm saying.
I know the meaning. Listen, the meaning of patriarchy is exactly like OV. It's like wanting to live in 1932. It's just that.
It isn't.
It is UNOV. You should get married and have a wedding in next year. Announce the wedding as 1933 next year.
Patriarchy.
Pardon?
Define patriarchy.
Define patriarchy. 1933. The Waltons.
Okay, is what the Waltons is family values. Yeah, big family.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not interested in starting a big family. I'm sure a lot of men are not interested in that. They want to have sex with women. They don't want to pay for the children. I get it. And therefore, you have to change the laws to make marriage a good bargain for men again, or they'll all think like you, and then not have enough children, or not parent them properly, not educate them properly, so that people who run businesses in this country don't want to hire them and prefer immigrant workers. And that is your problem, your Muslim problem.
Oh God! I tell you, how many times have I heard that this is your problem, and you tell me something which absolutely does not relate, correlate, or identify with anything that.
You don't care as long as you can move, away from the big bad cities. But you're okay, and I do see that, and you're saying, well, screw you lot who can't do what I do. Screw you lot having to live in the inner city. I don't give a shit about you. I like laughing at you and telling you that I come kingdom and every day you have to live in the inner city complaining about your immigrants and Muslims and Jews. I'm all right, Jack. And I will never support any proposals to change things, because I don't give a shit, because when I die, I'm dead, and I don't care what happens to my country after I'm dead.
Well, caring about your country, I mean, what good does caring about your country do? Is it not like the same as clapping for the NHS people? I mean,
I didn't clap. I made a point.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, but what? Tell me, if I'm to care for my country. No, hang on. Let's pretend we live in the real world. So Jay starts to care about his country. I care about my country. Now, what difference does that mean? What's happened? What changes have been made? What's good about me suddenly caring for my country? If I said to you, Claire, I've decided to care for my country, you would say, oh, good, I'm glad. But what's changed?
No, of course, I don't mean just saying this will help. Caring for one's country for men would mean fighting, risking life and limb to defend. I know you're not planning to do anything of the sort, but yeah, I suppose generally you could reduce it to making sacrifices and taking risks for the benefit of your society, of your group. So that's what.
Words.
And okay, we don't even have to do that now. I'm not saying I'm.
No, but hang on. Well, wait.
Principles, and you have no principles to defend other than what's in it for me.
The first, hang on, the selling point that you said to me is fight and risk my life. I mean, I don't want to fight, and I don't want to risk my life. I mean.
I know you don't.
Can you not make it like attractive? Like join up with me, and you will be able to fight and risk your life.
No, you're actually saying, bribe me. What's in it for me? What the hell?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You just said it. You've just said it.
No,
you just said it. So you're saying, what's in it for me? This sacrifice malarkey and risking, I'm not going to join the army. I'm not going to risk my life, dying
Well,
in some stupid war.
I'm not married, so I cannot go out into the world and promote marriage. I'm not married. It's simple as
So
that.
I think even gay men could concede that it would be better for children if they had married parents living together in a loving relationship. You don't even have to be married to. I think even a child can say that. Yeah, it would be better to have both a mum and a dad living together in a loving relationship, with dad having a job. You don't have to be married to support marriage. I'm not married, but you can see the benefits. You don't have to do all the things. I wouldn't be expected to join the army, and neither will you. You're too old to join the army now. But I think you would concede that any country would need an armed force to defend itself. So somebody's got to join the army, right? Even if it's not you. Somebody's got to have children if it's not me.
I think I would get rid of 95% of the army and air force and everything. I would get rid of virtually all of it.
Right. Okay, and then do what?
What with the money, or just nothing? Just do nothing? Why would I want to?
So I'm sure lots of people are going to agree with you that your country doesn't need an armed force. So you're not really serious, and you're just here to waste time talking nonsense.
I think you're projecting there. I mean,
why do it? I'm the one who says any country would need an armed force, and armed forces.
To do what? Only if you want to go and attack somebody else.
Well, I suppose you could consider the possibility that somebody might want to attack you.
Who? What? That ain't going to happen.
Americans, I suppose. Maybe they're not up to this sort of thing from now on. Who knows? Or they might just get desperate and try and eat China or something. Who knows?
No, I would. I mean, if you look at I think it was Trump that was saying about this lockdown and the money, the £2 billion bailout or stimulus, as he calls it. I think he was saying something like 47 billion has been spent on foreign wars in 10 years. And similarly, in this country, I assume that virtually all of the army or air force or navy or whatever the hell is used to go into the Middle East and bomb it. So I would have thought you would be in favor, because I'm saying that I don't knock on my neighbor's door and tell him how to live and try and nick his food. I don't even think about it. Whereas our country does. I would stop all of that. The problems, the people, the ideology of the people that are thinking that stuff. It's about thou shalt not steal. So going and invading other countries and saying not only are we going to take what you've got, but you're going to live with how we live, democracy. So you Tony Blair giving the Iraqis democracy. I mean, how insane. What do you need to do all of that? Armed forces, Air Force, Navy. Are you in favor of foreign wars, Claire? Obviously.
No, I'm not in favor of foreign wars, but I think all countries need the ability to defend itself from foreign invasion.
But it's like, that's like having a boxing match where both boxers have extra large gloves and have their arms over their heads. Don't throw a punch, but just like have their arms above their heads. So you have like nothing happening, but I've got my hands up in case he throws a punch. But no,
well,
I think.
I mean, look at it this way. You know, it's like telling everyone you're not going to lock your front door. What's going to happen?
No, because practically, even though if I lived in the cities, then I used to have 3 locks on my door. But I mean, where I'm at now, I mean, no, the doors are not locked. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, let's assume that you live in a country, in a part of the world where you need to lock the front door.
Yeah, I would. I'd lock the door. So who's gonna? So you think?
is on you. If you don't need to do it, then nobody else needs to do it. If you need to do it, then everyone else needs to do it. And beyond that, you actually can't.
But it's like Travis. It's like what Travis Bickle said in Taxi Driver. He said, like, after the famous "You talking to me," after that he said, "Of course, I'm the only one here." So I can only make this.
I don't know who you're talking about.
No, it doesn't. It's a film, but I'm the only one here who you're talking to. So, like, my thoughts are mine, and they are like from me. So when you're saying, "Oh, you this, you just think for you," and it's like, well, yeah, I'm the only.
It's important to show that, you know, all these people who think you're so represent them. It's like,
no,
yeah, you
nobody
do
thinks
represent.
that. No, I'm just your mate who comes on and chats. I mean,
No, they like you because you represent the fact that you're white, you're male, you don't like a certain group, and that's enough to attract them.
But isn't that belittling of them?
Secular Quranism, you don't think anything needs to change. When things get bad, you can kill and kick people out. So what the hell? Who needs to change? We'll just, you know, wait for law and order to break down, and then we'll sort things out the way you used to do. And in the meantime, all suggestions of solving the problem will be mocked and laughed at. And I'm stuck talking to people like you.
So the reason why you're not...
There's nothing wrong. I can't get a platform on New Culture Forum. I just have to, you know, talk to people like you until I drop dead, right? That is the fate that has been assigned to me.
So you're already...
You think, that's right. That's right. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to change our ways. We just wait for everything to turn to shit, and then we'll deal with
it. You make me laugh. I mean, the thing is that...
Let's have a solution. Oh, but you have no solution. You know your
would
place.
You... Would the chat agree with me that as Claire and myself, I guess, we're approaching the final third of our lives? We're beginning to almost rewrite reality, in that Claire is saying the reason that I am not successful is because of you lot.
Oh, I'm saying really that, I mean, there'll always be people, you know, bumping along the bottom that there's no point talking to because they are mentally ill, social retards, or people, charmless people who will have no hope of persuading anyone of their ideas.
That's Jen. I mean,
yeah, and I'm stuck here with you lot. And in the meantime, the powers that be will be deliberately ignoring any practical solution by declaring it to be racist or something. So this is the shit system that you live under, but no, nothing needs to change. You're right, Jack.
So you're like the tortured artist. No, Van Gogh. Van Gogh was an artist.
I'm just telling you what the situation is and why it is broken, because nobody cares. The people in charge don't govern in the national interest. Nobody tells them they should not govern in the national interest. They're supposed to be academics and, you know, people who are supposed to know about these things. They're not saying anything or doing anything because they're scared of losing their jobs. Nobody will say anything. The system is broken.
I don't think I represent anybody. I think people might listen to this because I occasionally say something funny or stupid, or I'm not your normal bloke, and I'll ask you silly questions or sometimes good questions. But I don't feel like, and I don't have a desire to prove my point. I don't have a point.
Yeah, because you're a nihilist. You have no point. You're an
But
atheist.
I laugh at people like you and Jen. Actually, you're both similar in that you're both completely failures with what you do. You've got Alex Woodrow, and she's got nobody, and that says a lot about women in politics. Wouldn't you agree?
I wouldn't call Jen and I women in politics.
Well, not her. I mean, I don't know what the hell she is, but that, but you are two people. Well, let's just talk about you. Forget about her. You are somebody with a vision, an extreme, crazy vision, and I'm not. And we both had the same result. What have we changed? Nothing.
Well, there are more people.
In fact, I would say I've changed more things than you. I'll be honest on these streams. I would say I've had a hell of a lot of. I think I've brought some levity to people's minds. I think I've demonstrated it doesn't need to be all screaming and shouting. There can be humour in it. I think I've added a sense of stupidity, of cluelessness on let's not get so serious about this. It's almost like an antidote to your insanity and your like political narcissism.
Am I insane?
You're insane by saying things which don't add up, don't make sense.
How don't they add up?
Well, by using logic, they don't add up. I mean, an hour ago.
Give an example of what I say that isn't logical and doesn't add up.
Yeah, you said that the people at the bottom, the Christians and Muslims, look up to the Jews and say they're not following the rules, so why should we? And I say to you, are the Jews responsible for the downfall of disaster? And you said no.
I said that Jews are part of the problem and the solution.
But yet again, I mean, that's so there's
well,
no.
Well, if I say words and I can repeat them accurately, I think my version should be preferred. You, as a nihilist and an atheist, don't really care about solutions.
So if you can remember your words, then
I do remember my words because I said them.
You would. You win an argument if you can remember. Claire, it's not like you're 7 times table getting it right, but according to you, it is.
It depends what the name of the game is. I am proposing a political solution. I know you don't like it because it means you have to admit that your government got it wrong, or you got it wrong, or the religion that you grew up in got it wrong, and you're not going to admit it. So all you can do is mock and laugh, and after you're dead, it won't matter.
I mean, I think possibly I could represent the Englishman who doesn't appreciate Islam coming into this country and the part of Islam that wanted. Wait. So when you're having an argument. No, wait. So when you're having an argument with me about following the Quran and my, happy to say that, my Quran ended up in the dustbin, I think that's like kind of what 99.999% of English people think.
Most people are stupid. Most people are sheeple. They don't know. They don't care. They think, well, if push comes to shove, we can always kill and kick them out. Can't wait, right? That this is the position of the alt-right, the white nationalist position. It's called examination.
So you would say that 99.999%. I mean, Alex Woodrow, he makes some good points actually, but you think that you and Alex, bear in mind John Vance has disappeared again. So you think that you are right and I don't know, 50, 40 million people are wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant by political.
It's like we already know, don't we, that there are more stupid people than there are smart people. Most people are sheeple, and you represent the sheeple who go by their instincts. It's like, why should we? These Muslims, they have no business to be here. We don't like them. We prefer what things were before they arrived. Why can't we turn back time? Or some shit like that.
So you've accused me in the past of making up my own rules and following my emotions and that sort of stuff, yeah? With your Ramadan fast, you've changed the rules to suit you, haven't you?
Well, I don't call it. I don't claim to be Muslim. I don't claim to.
No, but you were happy to go on stream and talk about Ramadan.
Yeah, I'm saying that while it's Ramadan, I'm going on a fast. I don't claim to be Muslim. I will be fasting according to my own rules. It won't affect anyone because
no, Claire, you.
What I'd say. No, you're just focusing on that.
You said you were following Ramadan, but now
I said
that's why I've called it a LARP fast.
Ramadan, I will be having a different kind of eating pattern to another time. But
Claire, you're doing intermittent.
Islamophobia, made you.
Claire, you're doing intermittent. If I just explain to people listening, if anybody's left, Claire is doing intermittent fasting, and she's doing well with it. Give her credit.
Yeah, I have. I've had a cup of tea, a mug of tea, a pint of tea, and water. Are you having a problem with that? I think I've done pretty well.
No, I mean, did you have milk in the tea?
No, I haven't got any milk.
Well, that's good. So what Claire's doing is basically health and fitness, but similarly like Jin Vance, it's any opportunity to pretend to be religious. What was it?
I don't pretend to be religious,
No. What was the Claire? Which commandment is not using God's name in vain? So you were happy to talk about Ramadan or Ramadan. Is it N with an N or an M? I don't even know what it is.
N.
Right? You were happy to talk about Ramadan. And then talk about your fast, and you were following it. But that's why it's a LARP fast. That's why I called it. Claire calls a LARP fast.
You like. You can call it anything you like, but I think the fact that I'm doing it on Ramadan triggers you. But back to what we were talking about.
Because I was like, hey guys,
you've already accused me, and I'm saying, yeah, I'm doing it, in my own terms. It doesn't matter.
So you're making you're making your own rules up over a religious. So
you've got to follow it. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying.
But I find it interesting that you're following a religious procedure, but you're making your own rules up which suit you.
Where I'm concerned, because under secular Quranism, Muslims will of course fast, but non-Muslims don't need to. But I'm not forbidden from doing it, and therefore I'm doing it. So, but
I think I might, yeah.
To think that that's a problem, but I think before that you were saying no, most people are stupid. Everything's going to turn to shit. Don't bother.
No, you said that.
Just whinge about it on YouTube from time to time, but never propose a solution. Be like me. Be like Jay. And laugh life away, not changing anything, and mocking anyone who does, and in the meantime pretend that nothing's wrong.
I don't remember saying anything of the sort.
Okay, so actually, you do complain a lot about some stupid thing, some story you've read, but you're saying there's no point.
I think there's
no point complaining.
No, I think since I've known you, how I've changed is I've taken up more of the position of popcorn. I'm just watching it happen and like laughing at the insanity of it, of laughing at Mark Collett, laughing at Millennial Woes, laughing at you, thinking that you've got the right to think of an idea that is going to do God's work. It's laughable. it's. Do you know why I laugh, Claire? Because it's fucking laughable. It's as simple as that.
So what you're saying is that there is no solution. Let's just laugh at life and die. And that's your life. That's your life. Let's not defend any principle because it's not worth defending. Nothing is worth defending, including the country that you were born and grew up in. Nothing is worth defending.
I think no, the country's enemies are not outside. The country's enemies are within.
I know.
And I think the country's enemy are some of the people, and the problems lie within them people. I think it's a spiritual problem. I think for years and years, man has been moving away from God, or being sensible, or making the right decisions, or following the universe, or whatever the words are. I kind of find that, and the more man moves away from good, sensible, like life structure, then the more insane it's getting. And when the consequences of man's lunacy comes back to hit or hurt man, then man will try to find a problem for the solution that was caused by him in the first place. Some people think AIDS is like that. Find a cure for AIDS. Well, AIDS might not have happened if it wasn't for X, Y, Z in the first place. So why don't we look at the root of the problem? And I think, and I've said this all along, though you probably will forget about it, that man moving away from God, which doesn't necessarily need to be religious in that sense, but I think man moving away from the good stuff, and we are now experiencing the consequences of all of that. So people talk about the banking system. It's clearly not fair on people that need or that use the banking system, for example, and the consequences of that are becoming all too apparent. But ultimately, the people that created the banking system and run the banking system are moving further away from being decent. And yeah, so
okay. So if I what?
No, I'm done. I mean, that's my like.
So you have to start a sentence saying "if you" and then.
No, I can't remember where I was. I was ranting a bit. I was on my I thought I was at Marble Arch or Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, ranting. That's what I would say. Jay's philosophy.
Okay, philosophy is, but there is no philosophy. You're just saying over the decades we have moved away from God. So what's the obvious?
No, over the. Oh, well, I think over the centuries, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really.
And then when I ask if you believe in God, what's your answer?
Well, it's the same as what it's always been. I think a third of the time, I'm believing God. A third of the time, I'm kind of not so sure, maybe. And a third of the time, I'm a fucking heathen pig who doesn't. And I'm trying to get my way and do a lot of the things that work initially, but then don't. So the answer, yes, perhaps, and no. You know, okay. Depending.
And you have no solution other than to point to the problem.
What you mean? You mean solution for me or for the world?
For the world, for your society. I
think the best thing I can do is come on here and have good conversations, like with you, for example, or when I was swimming this morning. Like, you know, I give out good vibes. I demonstrate some pretty good stuff. I think that's my limit.
Hearing your voice because you represent their position of inconsistency, of confusion, of wanting to say you know everything, but knowing everything's turning to shit. So
no, I don't think. I know not a lot.
and laughing at it, it gives them comfort to listen to your nonsense, because you represent them and their thoughts, and they know that there are more people like you than there are people like me.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, that's maybe not a bad thing, because if you're the person who has the answer for us.
I do, and you can't prove it's wrong, because you're just saying, even if it's right, I don't care.
Well, the thing is, it might be right, Claire. I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's lunacy. I think it's an impossibility.
And you think it's lunacy because you hate it. And that's the only reason why you think it's lunacy, because you hate it, and more people hate it than not. But who is expected to enjoy the correction anyway? Nobody enjoys correction.
Why do I don't even hate it. I mean, I've had some good conversations about it. It definitely challenges people like myself and others to question Islam. But do I hate it? No, because it doesn't exist. It's just a figment of your imagination.
All ideas are ideas.
Ideas, yeah, and that's all it is. And it's like it's an idea that
can be implemented. You can have an idea and then let it come in and go out of your mind, or you can have an idea to do something and you do it. And then consequences arise from that idea, which may be a good idea or a bad idea. So do you acknowledge at some level that religion is important to a society?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've said that from day one with you. Right. I think a religion or a moral code or I don't know, a set of values or set of structures or I mean, humans need it, because that sort of stuff protects humans from themselves, never mind from the enemy. So, and the best one I've found is the second half of Christianity. I mean, that's my choice. I like talking about it.
Second half of, what's the first half of Christianity?
Well, the New Testament, the Sermon on the Mount stuff, as you know, and the stuff I was kind of going to get onto today, the scientific Christianity stuff. But that works for me. I like talking about it, and I don't.
Well, what did you tell us about it? Your scientific Christianity. We haven't talked about the actual title of the thing. I know we've been yapping for nearly 3 hours now, but we haven't even talked about.
No, with scientific Christianity, it's like it's like if anybody wants to think what is like, it's like metaphysical prayer, just like what I give off and who I am and how I arm with stuff. That's a demonstration of it. That's a representation. And if anybody wanted to, it's like Muslims. When I look at Muslims, for example, I think what's driving them, and it's the Quran. And I think, do I want to read the Quran? Not particularly, because I don't particularly want to live as Muslims do. So I found what I do for me, and that's. So I'm not going to get into the word game of telling people what to do, but I do what I do, and what you see is a product of that, of my character, and with that other stuff. And people are
okay,
more than free and happy to like it, not like it, and that's their choice. I don't enforce it on people. I'm not insane and damaged like Jen or you into thinking that I know, and this is what you have to do.
Yeah, but you don't know anything. I mean, all you know is what you want.
I don't know anything.
That's all you know. So what you're saying is that you think in the short term, you think selfishly, and people do that when they see the position as hopeless. It's like, well, it's every man for himself. I can't do anything. Nobody will listen to me, so I've got to look after number one.
Well, it is. Yeah, I think it is
Yeah,
every man for
I
himself
think it's
in
fundamentally
a no, in a
the
way
attitude of
between.
a nihilist. And of course, you
No,
cannot trust politicians who say they are nihilists. And JF seems to have walked into that. But then he still, well, I suppose nobody really takes JF seriously anyway. I mean, there's only Stefan Molyneux who's, even trying to have some kind of a debate, but he won't debate me. So, there's a pattern there. It's like, yes, he won't debate me, Mark Collin won't talk to me, Millennial Woes won't talk to me. Why do you think that is? You talk to me, but they won't.
Well, I cannot speak for them, but I've got my opinions. Why don't they speak to you? Well, I'll be honest with you. This isn't what I don't know, but I would say because they think it's an absolute waste of fucking time.
Because what? Because they don't like it. They don't like it and they don't want to promote it. But then we go back again to, well, I don't expect you, if you need your leg to be amputated, to relish the procedure.
Why don't they talk to you? I mean, because it looks bad. It looks bad,
Yeah,
Claire, I'll be honest with you.
Because it would be, in the end, they'll say we hate it, and then I'll say, have you got a better idea? And they haven't, other than, well, when push comes to shove, we can kill and kick you out. We'll just wait for everything to turn to shit, and when law and order breaks down, we'll kill and kick you out. That's and they don't want to say that either. So that's why they don't.
I think as well. I mean, I think in their heads as well. I mean, I enjoy it. For me, it's pleasurable, but I think for them, it's like arguing with somebody who is proposing like it's like arguing with a witch doctor or arguing with like I'm trying to think of one of them strange people who believe in all kinds of like black magic or crazy stuff that's clearly bonkers.
Black magic.
No, I think that, no. I think that's what they think. I mean, I think it's bonkers and crazy, but they probably do as well.
It's bonkers and crazy. You think it's bonkers and crazy because you hate it, right?
So no, but why? No, Claire.
It's bonkers and crazy, but are you expected to enjoy a cure? An invasive procedure that's necessary to your, to your life, a life-saving medical.
I think no, but Claire, I think I can help you with this, right? Really, I'm trying to help you with it. I don't think any of Stefan Molyneux would want to have a debate with somebody who's trying to turn the country Buddhist. It's just a waste of. It's just a waste of time.
It's like saying, so basically, they're the people who say, we want to get better, but we don't want to take the cure. We won't have this necessary operation. We don't want to take the pill that you say will cure us. We don't want it, but we still want to get better. And we'll complain, and we'll blame the Jews.
Let me explain to you. If it would be like me saying, Claire, will you do a stream with me tonight? You would say, oh, what's the topic? And I'll say, I want to talk to you about why we should, for the rest of our lives, stand on our heads. You'd be like, hey, maybe not. It's like, what? And I think that's the initial reaction when you've got some female, Asian person with a suspect reputation.
Did you say something about standing on our heads? What was that? I missed that.
If I said to you, let's do a stream tonight where I want to spend 3 hours debating why we should stand on our heads for the rest of our life, the reaction that you might have to that will be similar to Stefan Molyneux thinking, debate a very interesting, peculiar Chinese Malaysian woman against feminism with a strange reputation who wants to bring in a religion which is utterly alien and the country hates and does not want. So that he might think, he think, well, what's the point? It's just a waste of time. I mean, it's just.
No, I don't think so. I think I don't think
he may call the special services to come and help you.
Well, he hasn't. I think he's just, sweeping it under the carpet. Because really, what I propose is not as insane as proposing that we stand on our heads. It can be defended. It's like, if the problem is matriarchy, then the solution must be patriarchy. And if the destination is patriarchy, then the vehicle must be theocracy. So he doesn't want to go there. He basically wants to have pointless debates with liberals. He had one yesterday, and I think they're quite poor debaters anyway. He just wants to be seen to easily win the debate against some liberal who can't even string a sentence together and express himself clearly. And this was what Stefan Molyneux was doing, and I know Cotto and Godfrey don't want me because I think there's just a tinge of Islamophobia on that stream as well, that channel. So I think the motivation is to deprive me of the oxygen of publicity. So, which is dishonorable.
I mean, yeah. I think it's understandable.
Okay, it's tactical. It's tactical. So they're basically saying we can't win this debate against her. We don't have a bigger other than the one of accelerationism, waiting for things to turn to shit. So law and order breaks down, so we can kill and kick them out. And in the meantime, we'll just ignore the solution that we dread. That it's something to do with our political system. It's something to do with the religion that we no longer believe in or follow. And we can just continue ignoring that problem. But every time you vote, the government gets worse. You have noticed, haven't you?
Oh, I give up on politics. I give up on. I mean, I was thinking today while swimming, and you'll hate me even more now. I was thinking that politics doesn't even. It's almost like it doesn't exist. I mean, the complete ineffectiveness of it, the complete lunacy of people thinking that it does exist, the complete farcical idea that if I vote, then it will change, or that people are looking out for you, or what. The whole subject should be like almost laid to waste. It's quite clear that there's crazy people or strange people think they're in charge or being in charge and making decisions that go against kind of everyone's interest, I think. So hence, it's laughable. Hence me laughing. Tony Blair. Let me give you one person. Tony Blair last week came on TV and said the most important thing we have to consider is lives. Now, if you know anything about the history of that man, he did not think that way a few years ago when his aim was to cause death. The Christian Tony Blair. So apart from he should have been hung, drawn and quartered, shot at dawn 10 years ago, whenever it was, the fact he comes out now and says regarding a little flu virus that's going on, and I know if people that have had relatives that have snuffed it, I do apologize for that remark in a sense of it's like personally painful, but in the larger scale, this virus, if it does clear out in a few weeks, you're looking at 10 years of the government legitimizing no spend, the government legitimizing no investment. You're looking so this extending this virus for another few weeks will give the government 15 years of we cannot really do anything because we're still paying back. And I said this to OV, and he thought I was a hero. I said to him, who do you think's benefiting from extending this lockdown? And the government's borrowing money left, right, and centre. But they're all borrowing money of future earnings.
Yeah.
And
so, the Western nations will soon be bankrupt, and they did it to themselves. So,
but it might be
say that we're actually closer to secular Quranism the more you stab yourselves.
Yeah, no. If your solution is the right solution, then what you want is for it to get worse. I'm beginning to think more and more that this, and I'm not a conspiracy man, but I tell you something: the way that the government are handling this. They're either terrified about looking terrible for not caring about people's feelings, or they are more than happy to run everything down to the ground for some reasons. And them reasons can only... Who are the only people that are benefiting out of this?
Pharmaceuticals.
Well, yeah. I mean, but banks, governments, behind governments. And I'm not saying they've created it. They may not have. They may have. But one thing's for sure, they're not too disappointed that the government, it's all plastic money, as they say, but the government borrows money at a percentage of whether it be the internal banks or the money markets. The government then loans money to the banks on a higher interest rate, and the banks loan money out to the shopkeepers at a higher interest rate. And so when all of this borrowing's going on, ultimately, it's like in war. Who benefits from war? Nobody really, apart from the people that benefit from it. It causes a lot of suffering and incredible heartache. But certain people will benefit. The financiers. And it's done on...
Quranism would abolish usury, but it would just deal with all the things that you find problematic. But because of your hatred for Muslims, you refuse to consider it, even as you are confronted with the fact that Christianity is kaput. And then when I ask you what you think religion is for, it's like, oh, it's for nothing. It's just
Claire, 15 minutes ago, you said, do you agree with me that religion is an essential part for society? I said, yeah, I've always said that. And now you're saying that you say, religion's like a good for nothing thing. So,
well, you have to make up your mind whether it is important or not. So you're saying Christianity is not kaput because there are enough people saying we're Christians. But if you look at if you ask these people if they really believe in the absurdity that an executed revolutionary is a co-equal of God, they'll say, no, we don't believe in that shit. You don't believe in that shit.
No, I think the word...
that shit. Conops doesn't believe in that shit. So obviously all these people calling themselves Christians, have they even been confirmed? And even if they were confirmed, do they believe in that shit?
What was the story about the winged horse again? Can you just quickly remind me?
I don't know anything. It's some dream or whatever, but Muslims aren't expected to believe in it. They don't even know what it really means. You see, the difference between Muslims and Christians is that Christians define themselves on being the people who worship and execute.
Can I ask? Okay,
people of God. That is how they define themselves. Do you understand? Well, Muslims say,
I do, but I need to head off in a minute. But let me just ask you 3 questions. And I know as the person you are, you love being asked questions. And I'm telling you now, unlike OV, these are trick questions. They are meant to trip you up. So, question 1, why did you choose this country to move to?
I was just attracted to it. Read too many English novels, perhaps.
Okay. Why do you stay here?
Because it would be inconvenient to move back, and I do have things I want to say and do here, which is to promote secular Quranism to people who most need it. And through doing it,
third question. How does it feel to live in a country that you hate?
I don't really hate the British. I mean, I'm just saying that they're in a bad way, and Britain isn't the only country to have this problem, because all of what was Christendom, and which is the West, is suffering from the same problem. Because they have the same religion, they have the same political system, which is liberal democracy, and they've been marinating in feminism for longer than other nations. They're just in a worse way, and now they've kind of lost their minds. So really, the problem is, has been diagnosed.
No, I mean, from a personal point of view, you're very entertaining and fun, and provide good content on a Saturday morning and afternoon. So I'm more than happy for you to stay. But I was more interested in why a person who has never said one good thing about the country, the religion, the politics, the finance, the men, the women, the children, the education system, even the weather, chooses to come here and stay, or not go to a country where she obviously would be happier.
No, I wouldn't be happier to run away. I'm not the running away kind of person. I'm not a rat leaving a sinking ship. I mean, obviously, I have something to promote. I have to, these ads where they, some cleaning liquid or whatever. Do they, use it on something that's already clean? No, they look for the worst, the most disgusting, filthy thing, and say, "Oh, now that I've used this sort of cleaning liquid on this disgusting stove, you can see how wonderful it is." So I'm obviously going to where the problem is worse.
Well, on a final note, and I think this sums me up in my religion and outlook, I had to buy, Stephen James, if he's listening still, will be interested in this. I had to buy last week some Jay's fluid because we have a rat. Now, Jay's fluid is spelled
Jeyes.
Yeah. And I read the back of the tin, and I think if you drink it, you die. It's pretty lethal stuff. And rats, my friend who's, well, technically homeless, even though we've got him a flat, but he knows about all that stuff. And I asked him about rat, and he said, have you got a rifle? I'm like, no. And he said, get some Jay's fluid. And they hate it. They absolutely hate it. And I was surprised it was £5 for a small bottle, but apparently you have to mix.
It's for what? Isn't it a cleaning liquid?
It's nasty stuff, Claire. It is like
but it's not rat poison.
No, it's not rat poison, but apparently it's worse than rat poison. But for some reason, maybe money, rent a kill, and all of that. But apparently, Jay's fluids and stuff. So I think I'll be doing that the rest of the day. I'll be making. I'll be killing rats with Jay's fluid.
I think it's rat traps and rat poison that you get.
I think they're beyond it. I think rats are like, they know not to go near them. They eat rat poison and they don't die. And I saw on the news today there's going to be a mass surge of rats because of last month's warm weather. So I saw one the other day run across the garden. It was like a fucking little cat. I mean, it was huge. I saw them in London, a few of them. But this was like, Jesus Christ, it was horrible.
Yeah, I think rat infestations because will come at a kind of end of civilization end time. I think that that's maybe a bit superstitious or whatever. But my parents get it as well.
Is that because of the heat in Malaysia?
Well, I mean, it wasn't always like that. I remember the time when there wasn't a rat problem.
What, do they have traps in the house and stuff?
I think they have a regular, rodent controller person.
Yeah, that's what my friend in London did.
It was horrible. I mean, they used sort of sticky paper and yeah, one of the rats were caught and my mother had made me remove it. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder. Poor rat. I wonder what the rat thought.
Well, it was already dead. I mean, we didn't really notice.
Oh, I see.
Like,
and what did you do? Put it in the dustbin?
At first, I thought, that was a kind of brie smell for a bit, and then we realised it was a rat.
No, they stink. They stink for ages, don't they? But anyway, what's your plan the rest of the day? Are you staying on the stream, or are you gonna?
Well, I think I have a few questions to answer, so I'll do that. I think I've missed my call to my that I said I was going to make at 1 because.
Okay, well, sorry about that, and sorry for pointing out to the people in the chat where you've been incredibly inconsistent and disingenuous and with your points. But I do feel that it was the right to point them out to you.
I don't think they would care anyway, as long as they get to oppose secular Quranism. They're not really interested in the arguments, are they?
Yeah, I think they are, but I think you need to be more honest with and less of the bad faith stuff. I think show some integrity and more principles.
Oh, I have it coming out of my ears. I mean, they can always ask me questions on Ask FM, but they don't like doing that for some reason. If they don't think I've answered questions properly, I can post a link in the chat.
I think you should. But all right, listen, I'm off. But thank you for allowing me to do this for 3 hours. And I've just got onto StreamYard, our private page, and Stephen James is saying all the second generation Pakistanis I met at uni were smokers, drinkers, and literally all the drug dealers. How is the Quran working out, Claire?
Well, I can tell you that all these rules of religion are about group solidarity, and obviously gangsters have their own rules of keeping them in the group. The mafia have this rule called omerta, which is never to snitch on your fellow gangsters. So these are all group rules for good group solidarity, and the one that seems to work best is the system of rules called Judaism. And since we're not all Jews, we're only left with Islam, because Hinduism and Buddhism are even more alien to Western traditions than Islam.
Oh, Hinduism, anything's better than Islam, Claire. Come on. I mean, Hinduism, but I mean, if I had to choose out the 5 or anything, I mean, God, bottom of the pile.
You don't know anything about Hinduism.
That's better than Islam.
Yeah, but you're choosing, from the point of an ignoramus, going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I'm just saying, if you want your civilization to continue, you should have to acknowledge that India is a fallen civilization. And as for Buddhism, the Chinese don't identify themselves as Buddhists. China owes its longevity not to Buddhism, but to statecraft. And separate
you know,
religion from their politics a long time ago.
My position is anything is better than. So
Yeah,
sorry about that. But
you are an Islamophobe. I do understand that. You don't like rules. You don't like having to obey them, and you represent people who feel exactly the same.
Mentioning rules, how's your tea?
I drank it before I started the stream.
Okay. On that note, I am going, and I'll get, as I'm getting ready, I will listen to you pretend to answer the questions, but skillfully avoid them. I know what you're like.
Well, this question from Stephen James is not actually a question, but it is a point, and I will deal with that when you go.
All right. Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye, Stephen, and we'll catch you later. Pardon?
Bye. I said enjoy the rest of your afternoon and day.
Yeah, will do, Claire. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you. Bye. So Stephen James is saying that Muslims aren't saints, but then nobody is saying that they are. We're talking about competing groups of people, i.e. Jews, Christians, and Muslims. And really, why not just admit that it's not about who's better than the other, but who has higher status? So it's like, yeah, Jews, well, they're already kind of, they already have the status of being God's chosen people. Some of you deny it. But the point is that, they've had the status for quite a while now. So the fight really is between Christians and Muslims. And even the way that the post-Christian Westerner complains about Jews and Muslims denote that it's really all about status. Like, oh, the Jews, they did it to us because they're part of the liberal elite. And these Muslims, they are invaders. So if you call them invaders, then they have successfully invaded, have they not? And you're powerless to do anything about it because Christianity is kaput and democracy is dementia, and your matriarchy doesn't care about you. So let's recap on our definition of patriarchy, which is a society that prioritizes the preferences of married fathers, and matriarchy is a society that prioritizes the preferences of the unmarried mother. So you have society P and society M. Just imagine if they had a war against each other. Which society, which nation P, nation M, which society do you think will win this war? Which society would be better at following rules and cooperating with each other to deal with their internal and external enemies? It's very simple. It's not about, the fact that you've had a few Muslims in your country who were criminals and who break the rules. That's not really the point. The point is really status. And maybe because you're all so focused on your hatred of Jews and Muslims that you don't really focus on the abstract motivators of your, not motivators, causes of your existential angst. And it is, of course, your loss of status in relation to your women, in relation to your minorities, and the realization that your government doesn't care about you. It's not even governing in the national interest. It doesn't even know that that is what they must do. Or doesn't care to discuss it. Well, what about these academics? that there are such things called moral philosophers and political philosophers, but they are silent. Can we interest them in discussing secular Quranism? I've been trying in my own little way. But then the problem with diluted, ever-lowering standards of education is that academics are a dime a dozen. And so, because they want to keep their job, to lose their jobs for saying something politically incorrect would mean loss of income and status, they are afraid to find themselves in a position of being jobless and without income. So the government will always be able to find some frightened academic prepared to say whatever anyone wants them to say. So basically, I'm saying that all your important institutions are already corrupt. Nobody will state the obvious except me. And because nobody wants to hear what I have to say, I am stuck here with you all. I don't know what you mean, Stephen James, when you say, I don't think Blair is serious. What's a couple of months to inspire a lifetime? I don't know what you meant by that. I don't know what you mean either when you say, Jay has done incredible work to de-radicalize young drug-fueled wignats on the verge of going outside. Going outside, or do you mean committing an act of regrettable criminality? So Stephen James thinks it's a point in his favour when he says, he quotes from The Atheist, Richard Dawkins, all the world's Muslims have fewer Nobel Prizes than Trinity College, Cambridge. Nobel Prizes? Didn't Obama get a Nobel Peace Prize? That's another corrupt institution, isn't it, Stephen James? Now, Stephen James, trying to get me to waste even more of my time by writing a book. So why? Why would you want to make me write a book that you already know I will be unable to find a publisher for? Why would you do that? Surely the intention is malign encouragement. He goes on to say, you could always get Matt Forney to ghostwrite it if you have writer's block. He is motivated purely by money and has written nearly everything else by everyone else in the alt-right. Right, I didn't know that. Why would I need someone like Matt Forney to ghostwrite anything for me, which wouldn't get published anyway? Even if I wrote it myself, it wouldn't get published anyway, because no publisher would publish it. I've actually explored it and I was told that it was unpublishable. Nobody wants, they want sex and shopping, and maybe the mood has changed post COVID-19, who knows? Well, that's it then. Nobody serious, nobody in a position to acknowledge that most people probably won't relish the idea of correction